are live. What's up, everybody? We're here. We're in the building. This is episode 122 of the Young Lion TV podcast. Huh? Yeah, you're still muted, bro. Because this is John's like Jamie's the only one that usually talks. Yeah. Yo, check it. Man, we got to get that mic cable fixed. All right, let's hit the intro.
Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, everywhere I look, they're dying. Everywhere I look, they're dying. Young lion, won't you get up and stop fighting? Everywhere I look, they're hiding.
Check.
All right, we in
go.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, episode 122. Can't believe we've done 122 episodes of this thing. Just talking about stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about the ManosFEAR. We're going to talk about that's something that we've kind of touched on in moments. We really haven't gone like too much opinions on what the red pill movement is.
We haven't gotten into it.
Yeah,
really,
so
really.
I think we're going to do that tonight because there's a lot of exposing going on there. There's a lot of cracks in the foundation that are appearing and that are exposing a lot of what people have kind of been like pedestalizing about it. So before we get into that, I got to give a shout out to, we got a full house in the building this evening. We got the brother Simone Chang is back with us. My mom said, so happy to see you there, Simone.
Aww.
Yes.
I love you.
Yes, sir. And we got James back with us.
Back.
Yeah, James is in the building. Mr. Bill Wright.
I thought our special guest was Brian Dawkins.
Right, that brother looking like a MVP over there. But Mr. Bill Wright's been busy.
Yes, sir.
Aren't you? You're changing it to just Build Right, right?
Just Build Right.
You guys are going to change it up.
Yeah.
You guys have been busy though, right?
Been very busy, man. A lot of work.
Yeah, man. That's good, man. That's good. Well, we're happy that you could make some time for us.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what I mean? Glad to. This is a perfect one for you to be at because I know me and you talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
So
I said, put me in, coach.
I'm there.
And then of course we got Stan with us, rocking the. Me and him are the twin. Look at him
Triplets.
and Jake. Yeah,
Triplets.
We didn't plan this, but you know, you got to represent. We're rocking the JTOW merch, the Back to Life shirt. And then we got Jake.
Hi, guys.
And we got John over there producing. And he forgot to turn the light off behind you, but it's all good. Showing people our messy other room.
There you go.
All right, look at that. Okay, all right, guys. But listen, if you're in the building, please hit that like button. Thank you for everybody who's there already. Hit the like button. Hit that share button. Let people know that you are watching. Let them know that this stream is happening so that the algorithm can work in our favor. They already don't like us, y'all. It's not a conspiracy theory. They throttle content like ours because the stuff that we talk about. So please hit the share button. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button, hit the notification bell. And there's our Patreon right there. There's the YouTube. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, the live now.
Okay. Yeah, you see it, right?
Yeah.
Moan's been doing his thing with them thumbnails. Go back to the YouTube. Woo, that thing's looking right. Okay. Yeah. So
and when you comment, we can tell if you share because it'll say sharer.
Yeah.
There, Mom.
Yeah, so we can tell if you comment, if you shared or not. You know what I mean?
Mom also said, hi, James. So happy to see you, too. And she also had that same shirt on today.
Wow, Mom, but you had it on at the gym, I'm assuming.
Wearing our shirt at the gym.
Yeah, that's the only time she
Sweating
wears it.
in our shirt.
Disrespect.
She wears it at the gym. And I was like, oh, so you want me to give you a brand new shirt just so you can work out in it? She was like, well, it's free promotion for you. I'm like, there are 8 people at Planet Fitness. No, but I appreciate it. But yeah, also if you want to support what we're doing, if you want to sign up and become a member, there's our Patreon right there. You can get down. In the comments, in the description of the video is our Patreon, patreon.com/youngliontv. There's a lot of different tiers on there if you want to support. Just to be a part of what we're doing. We have a lot of people that sign up and become members, and all of that really helps out, helps us keep bringing this to you and bringing more content every week. We're working on more and more things, more ideas. So please support, hit that up. Also, there's going to be exclusive content on there. There's stuff on there now that you can catch that we don't put on the stream, certain topics that we'll touch that are on the Patreon only. And we'll be putting like music clips and video clips up on there that you won't be able to see unless you're on the Patreon. Right there, you see our website. That's jatan.com. If you want to get these shirts, if you want to get some merch, or if you want to just check out our music, you can check that out on the website, jatan.com. And I think that's it. Man. So everybody is in the building. We're here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share. Oh, shout out to the people on Twitch, too. We've been getting some people subscribing on Twitch. Slowly trickling in. It's weird. Like, we get a subscriber
What up,
here and
Twitch?
there, and we never even, we just post it up on there. The videos go away after a while because we ain't paying for that pro membership. So, if we get a little more Patreon members, maybe we can afford to have the pro membership on Twitch. But for right now, I think the videos disappear after like 30 days or something, right? Is that how it works on there? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can catch that. If you're, shout out to if you're watching on Twitch right now. Thank you very much. And yeah, so there's a lot going on, guys. A lot of things happening in the news. First things first, we all know that we got the notification that the FDA approved one of the
Pfizer.
the jabby jabs.
The jabby jabs.
Yeah,
The one I did.
the one you did, yeah. So, of course, they're using that to just mandate it now
Yeah.
fully. Like,
You got the vaccine, John?
Yeah, I got the Pfizer when I went to the VA.
You didn't know about that?
I told you too.
Okay.
He said, okay.
I'll be forgetting.
Yeah, so they want to. Now is the moment to really.
Yeah, they already pushed for the teachers, all the teachers.
Yeah.
Just in New Jersey, they all have to get the jabby jab. The
Yeah.
nurses, all the nurses have to get.
So they say, unless you fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can technically fight it due to religious or
Religious
other,
grounds.
Yeah.
But if you
Health
don't
grounds.
get it, you have to get tested twice a week.
Well, it depends on the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, the banks, they're doing that.
Yeah.
If you work in the bank.
Right.
And I heard that's on the person's
Oh, yeah.
dime.
The individual who
Yeah.
didn't get the jab.
Yeah, but there are
Fight that,
exemptions.
too.
Like if you medically can't get it, then
Mm-hmm.
you're exempt from.
Medical or,
Right.
or religion.
But I know, like in certain states, like in New York, even if you're medically exempt, I think that they basically have to let you go. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
New York is another level right now.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, not as bad as Australia, but
Or
Yeah.
Canada.
Getting
Canada.
close.
Like
Yeah.
I just seen a video of Trudeau talking about, it's your choice if you want to get the shot or not, the vaccine or not, but you can't go on buses, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that.
what do
Basically you can't live.
What do you guys think? Like because we've never seen like them. Like I understand vaccines have been around forever. I've taken many vaccines.
Right.
I took malaria and stuff to go to Africa. I understand the purpose of it, but it just seems like this is a different thing. It seems like there's a weird. This is a weird approach to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do y'all think about that?
I agree. It's weird. I think if you take the approach of telling people, like giving them more information
Yeah.
and then letting them choose, or a certain age group, like this is why you should get it.
Right.
Don't just say
You
get
have
it because
to.
I
Yeah.
said so.
Right. Or
That's
say
not
like
how you persuade people.
we need businesses to force people into doing this. Like,
yeah.
Right.
Or
Shame you.
you
pretty much.
can't go on the bus if you don't have this.
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially causing a divide amongst people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It seems like it's more about that than anything else. It becomes more politicized.
And divide. And nobody talks about the natural immunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get
don't
COVID,
talk about
you
her.
recover from it.
Yeah.
Where's your passport for that?
Yeah.
Government.
Yeah, it's just it's and then the double standards that exist, of course, you know, all across the board, because it's like all the people that are kind of cheering this and want this authoritarian style stuff pushed on us are the ones that complain about any kind of, you know, government oversight in other things or like
overreach.
like overreach or regulations. You know, they'll go out there and protest and sleep on the bench over having ID to vote, but then they want you to carry around an ID and a vaccine passport
Yeah.
Which
to
is
be
still,
able to
Yeah.
go into a store
But that's
or
not
a restaurant.
racist. That's not racist.
That's
Yeah.
it's still your medical privacy too.
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
but it's just a
can't deal
weird
with
double
that either.
standard. Like I stand for this here, but I don't stand for it there.
Right.
You know,
I'm gonna say it again. Flight of the Navigator.
flight of the navigator, compliance,
Yeah.
compliance. Yeah, man. It's like
Yeah, and you see it. I mean, for those who have eyes to see, like they use, you know, information that they want. Like, like you notice that, you know that, especially in New York, what is it, like something like crazy, like 70% of African Americans are the
Yeah.
ones that aren't
that
vaccinated,
aren't vaccinated. Yeah,
and don't want to get vaccinated.
right.
They don't talk about
They're
that.
blaming it all on Republicans and Trump supporters. They're
Right.
making it like they're using that as the hammer to beat
The
people with. Like,
anti-vaxxers.
all of these
How
Trump
do they
supporters.
make that connection with the black community? Like, how are they making that connection?
What that?
What do you mean?
That
What do you
it's-
mean?
That it's Trump. and Trump's
Well, they're not. They're totally dismissing
they're
it.
dismissing
They don't
it,
want
not
to. Matter of
talking
fact,
about it.
someone brought it up on the news yesterday, and they got attacked as racist. You know, because they brought up the fact that it's mostly African Americans that aren't getting vaccinated, and it's not just in New York; it's in most cities across the board. But so, you know, this person brought up that statistic on MSNBC or something, and of course, like all these articles came out later saying that, oh, this racist comments. It's like, you can't even just tell the truth, because they want to be able to paint the narrative that if you don't get it, you're a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of people who've gotten it so far in the country?
50.
Isn't it like, no, it's
No,
above.
it
It's
was
like
up to
it's like almost 70, I think.
I want to say 73 million or something like that.
Let me see.
It might be up to 100 and something actually.
Yeah.
Million?
Yeah, of people who actually got the
Well,
vaccine.
I'm saying percentage.
52.1%.
Oh, 52.
So more than half.
I don't personally have a problem with the vaccine per se. I think I have more of an issue of the way this thing came about and the lack of transparency or truth behind how this thing manifested itself.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, because listen, there's a lot of vaccines that none of us know what they do.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of medical procedures that are totally unnecessary. You and I talk about this. Circumcision is one of them.
Right.
And we all subject our kids. If we gave the statistics on how many boys died, how many botched circumcisions,
Right.
but people do it anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that people
And
do.
and for no good reason.
For no good
really.
reason.
Yeah. But I will make a distinction between like vaccines that have been proven to cure and stop illnesses.
Sure,
You know, like
sure.
polio, malaria, all these
Yeah.
things that
Sure.
or yellow fever, these things that
That's been
you know
around for a while.
measles, chicken, like these things.
Right.
You know, if you take it, you don't get this thing.
Sure,
So
sure.
this is a different thing where
It's
it's,
a
like
different thing.
they're saying if you take it, you still get it, but it's like, you know,
Right.
it can stop you from getting
Well, it
as sick.
keeps on moving though. Like
And-
Yeah, I
if
know.
you take it, then
Right.
you're not going to get
because here's what we're doing. In order to really fight against this, the true COVID strain, we should actually have scientists over in China investigating
Right.
the original strain, not the mutated strain.
Yeah.
So because China won't let that happen,
Yeah.
those are the questions that need to be answered. And our politicians are just saying, trust us. This is why I understand people's frustration.
Right. And then
Because
when you find out how many of them are totally intertwined with,
that's, see now,
you know,
again, take the vaccine, because it's turning into vaccine versus anti-vaxxers, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is, how did this come about? Can we investigate it truthfully?
Right.
And can we show how to truly stop, if it's really what they say it is?
Right.
And because those questions aren't being answered,
Right.
People are confused.
And I think that confusion is what's leading people to be skeptical of this thing. It's not that, you know, they want to label people as anti-vaxxers,
Right.
but it's like, no. When we watch the way this whole thing had played out.
I think they actually want that, though.
Yeah.
Because they want the question to be shifted from where it needs to be focused, which is how did it start?
Right.
Yeah.
Can we go there? And they want to create the crowd of the naysayers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or this group versus that group.
You're
You know what I mean?
right. You're killing grandma, or you care about people.
That's it. Because then the conversation shifts from how did it start?
Yeah.
If a car crashes and it continues to crash, you need to go investigate the manufacturer.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
You don't
Even
just
for-
say let's lower the speed limit across the country so
Right.
that there's no more accidents.
We got to find out how did
Right.
we got to reverse engineer the thing and find out how did it start to notice the failure. And I think that's what's missing here. So they want people to fight each other. I think they kind of
Stay
want to
focused
create
on
that,
that.
you know,
Yeah.
because you're taking away the focus from where it is. And China already
Right.
said you ain't coming here to investigate nothing.
And that's the divide. You know.
I mean, I think there has been a lot of there have been a lot of tests and I'm trying to think of the right word.
Investigation.
Not investigation, because that's the word I was thinking.
Studies?
Studies. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
That was Stan said.
There have been a lot of studies.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, it's only been like a year and some change. But so there's been studies that have come out, and a lot of them are showing like what to do and what to take. You were talking about this vitamin D is big, you know, or just getting sunlight.
Zinc, vitamin
Zinc,
D, quercetin, you
Yeah.
know, these things. Vitamin C is huge.
Another thing that is huge is your diet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then also saunas.
Yeah.
You know, they're finding like saunas are a big thing. Because you're going into a
Hostile environment.
Yeah, you're going into a hot
It creates
environment.
proteins in your body to
Yeah.
to fight that heat that actually does wonders for your health. Yeah.
Right. Hot and cold. So really hot showers and then change to cold
Yeah.
showers. That helps a lot too. There's a lot of things that
I hate cold
people
showers.
there's a lot of things that people aren't looking into because they want to just
And that's
they,
the other
they want
thing.
to take the vaccine, which is fine. Like you want to do that, fine.
And
But
then
I'm not.
you have a science community that benefits monetarily from this type of pandemic. It's an opportunity for them. Like look at the billions of dollars that Pfizer, Moderna, and all these companies
Big
are getting.
pharma.
Another thing that they're not talking about, I don't want to compare the flu to COVID. COVID is a real thing, and it's,
Right.
to me, I think it's, a little more serious than the flu. But they don't talk about how the flu mutate too.
Yeah.
And every year there's a new vaccine for it.
Right.
I mean, pretty much all viruses are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Any
all
type of
mutate.
coronavirus.
But they're not talking about that. This might be something that we have to,
Well, they're easing people into this idea.
Yeah.
It's like I said, the frog in the boiling pot. Like
Right.
now, the idea of every 8 months getting a booster. Like they're not telling people the full truth. And this is what causes the skepticism because it's like every 2 months we get a little more truth about what they're really trying to do.
Right.
So it makes people be like, wait, what's going? Like I saw Bill Maher even came out on his show this weekend and was like now you're telling me I got to get a booster?
Right,
Like
yeah.
this? What are you talking about?
And it's still shifting the conversation of where did this originate?
Right.
We're just arguing semantics now.
Yeah.
It's not even. Let's investigate the people that started this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because okay, so fine, we all take the shots. World is safe. 5 years from now, it happens again. Mm-hmm. How many vaccinations?
And even
are we-
worse, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the solution? Just vaccinating everybody all the time?
Right.
So in another 10 years, it happens again. Another 20.
Right.
What do we do?
But
now?
that's my point to preventative medicine. I think
Yeah.
that's the most important thing because that's the thing that's gonna.
But there's no money in that.
Yeah, and they won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
but,
they're not
but
gonna.
that's self responsibility.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is they're not going to promote that because there's no
But what's that telling you? Stop looking at the government. Stop looking at the experts that you want to
100%
because you take away your own responsibility.
But when people don't do that, the fact that people are so reliant and so trusting of everything that they say. I mean, there's people that are saying like, just do what they say already. All they're doing is allowing them to keep pushing the ball further into authoritarianism.
Government has become your guide.
It's like they're talking about it's Trump supporters. Did y'all see at the rally when Trump told people to get vaccinated and they booed
They
him?
booed him.
they
You know what I
booed
mean?
him.
It's like Trump supporters don't
It's
just
not that,
so,
you know, it's not
Yeah.
that they just blindly
Yeah,
go with
and
whatever
that's
he says.
that's a narrative.
And the
that
vaccines were
stays
all
right.
formulated under his regime.
And I was
He
gonna
brags
say,
about it all the time.
He should stop bragging
He's
about
the
it,
number
really,
one
but,
bragger of the vaccines. Like,
I mean, and if you go back to Kamala Harris and all of them,
they
I
said-
won't take
right,
a Trump
because-
vaccine.
yeah,
right.
Okay.
I don't trust it.
Now they're
I don't
pushing
trust
I
it.
don't trust
Yeah.
it. How come
And
they weren't banned from Twitter?
all these
you
months
know?
hearing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Biden said
And
it
then the
too.
hypocrisy. Did y'all see this clip? I will show y'all this real quick. John, bring this up. You know, Nancy Pelosi was in front of the government. You don't got to play the audio.
Oh yeah, that's
She was at some lunch, with all these
Trying to get that money.
rich donor corporate executives.
I heard it was from 10 to
Lots of
29.
Mexicans with masks on
I was
working.
going to say all the workers
They're
got
working,
the mask.
but all the rich white people, and there's nothing but white people there. No masks. You know what I mean? And she was just in front of on TV with her
You're
mask
eating,
on,
Jamie. Jeez, what do you want?
talking about
Now,
like
now that you said that, I'm looking for all the black people.
you won't
and
find
the
a one.
Asian.
You won't find a one.
See, and
brother.
that's the problem too. It's like when we see stuff like that, the public doesn't understand the larger implication of this because we don't get to see who's on the log, who is head of corporations.
Yeah.
We just see a bunch of people having dinner.
Yep.
But if we were able to see head of Pfizer, head of
Yep.
this company, head of this, then we would understand. All right,
These people are getting kickbacks. These people are benefiting
That's
from
right.
them telling us what to do. It benefits them. You know, Pfizer getting this FDA approval, that just opens the door for them to now make a bunch of money.
Right.
And that's why they're trying to get a booster. This is a revenue stream for them now.
Yep.
So they like. That's why last week I was saying they said forget about them opioids in Afghanistan. We don't need that anymore.
Forget them minds and fields.
Right?
They
No
can
need to
have that.
fight the
We got the
Taliban over that.
vax.
Like, we could get this vaccine money. But yeah, so it's a tough thing. I wish people did focus more on preventative health.
But have you noticed that the conversation has shifted from China and how it started to
Yeah.
something completely different now?
Yeah.
It's constantly because it'll pick up steam for a while when more evidence comes out that that's clearly what happened, and then they start pushing into these other things. You know,
Afghanistan, look.
right? Look at this, guys. Don't pay attention to Governor Cuomo.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, did you guys see his speech when he
the
resigned?
farewell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talking about how he had the best COVID response. You know, still in denial. You know,
He's still under investigation for it, but
yeah. All
I
right.
don't know if anything can come of it.
Moving on to last week I showed you guys a video on TikTok. You know, Governor Newsom is getting recalled right now, and you know that he's pretty much like right now the numbers are. It looks like he's probably going to get recalled, and Larry Elder is the one in the lead, looking like he might be the governor.
That's cool. I like Larry Elder.
I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't really know him too well. He kind of has like that
I mean-
griftery kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
I mean,
he's been conservative his whole.
Yeah.
you know,
tenure.
he's not. No, but who's gonna be perfect?
No, no
though?
one
You
is,
know
no
what I mean?
one
But
is.
I'm saying that's like, oh,
Caitlyn Jenner.
great.
It's a
step
huge
up.
shift in California.
Yes,
It is.
Yeah. But remember last week when I was showing you guys that video of those people stealing ballots from the mail?
Yeah.
Remember? So then I sent you guys this. News article. Pull this up, John. I sent you guys this news article where the man was arrested with firearms, drugs, and thousands of ballots. So this dude was literally asleep in his car at a 7-Eleven, and someone saw him like guns out and drugs, and so they called the police. And when the police came to investigate, they found he had thousands of mail-in ballots in his car.
For the recall.
Right. And it's just interesting when you hear all the stories of like the nefarious tactics that people are using to try to stop what the public wants. They try to, there's all these weird tactics. I'm gonna show y'all this TikTok that I saw too. Pull this up, John. And this is of course one of my go-tos right now, libs of TikTok.
We always ask them, how do you want to be reached out to? And one of the main
No,
responses we have in
that's
the
Nancy.
Fancy Nancy still talking. See?
Yeah.
She want that money.
That means that, yes, you want Gavin Newsom to lose his job. The next thing you're going to check is who you're going to vote for to replace him. I am going to vote for Larry Elder, and his box is on the back of the page. I think that it is important that we unite around one candidate, but like I said, the most important thing is that we get him out. This is the sketchy part. This is the crazy part. So when you fold up your ballot, more than likely, it seems natural, you're just gonna slip this in. But you have to pay attention to these two holes that are in the front of the envelope. You can see if someone from the outside of the mail-in ballot, you can see if somebody has voted yes to recall Newsom. This is
That's the holes I was talking
very
about.
sketchy.
You talked
and
about this during the
irresponsible,
election.
in my opinion. But this is asking for fraud. So anybody that has access to this mail-in envelope can see who's voted yes, toss it, do whatever they want to it. They can see your vote from the outside of the envelope. So when you're doing this, make sure you line up your ballot on the inside of the envelope so that your vote is not visible. I
Wow.
think that's important. And
So I saw that. You can mute that. So I saw that TikTok the other day, and then today there was news articles because a lot of people have been complaining about that. They're like, "Oh, I put my ballot in. You can see that I voted to recall him."
Yeah, why would they put that whole? Yeah.
So they're trying to explain it away with some nonsense about like, "Oh, that's there just to reassure visually impaired people where they can sign their name on the thing." It's like,
What I was told that the reason why I was there was because, the reason why I was there is because they want to be able to see that there's actually a ballot in there, instead of like nothing being inside, and then they just wasted their time or something like that. That's what I was
you
told.
wasted 5 seconds
2
opening
seconds
a
it
ballot.
takes to
A ballot. But why would you put it in a spot specifically where you would
Right.
see
Dude,
whether it's a yes
did
or
that
no
on
vote?
the presidential ballot. It was
I remember
right
you
on the
you
spot.
complained about that, and
So
then
I had
you
to like
yeah,
flip it inside out so you couldn't see.
and you don't think that that's like you don't think that that's a attack. I mean, they know that these ballots are going to be harvested. They're mail-in ballots, so
Yeah.
someone's going to collect these things. You can literally go through them and see which ones to keep, which ones to throw away. And we know about like all this video footage that we saw from the election in the past. It's like this is the problem.
It was genius, man. Ballots.
If you're like, we already got issues, and come on now,
Yeah.
Like, if we got some type of problem with these things, and then you're gonna do that, like, you're kind of solidifying what we're
Right.
thinking, you know,
And
and
they
that's
don't
what we're
care,
talking
yeah.
about.
That's why these bills that they're passing in these states like Georgia, Texas, and stuff about the elections
integrity.
integrity. It's literally just to stop this stuff, because people are out there protesting, and a lot of these Democrats are saying, "Oh, they just want to stop black people from voting." I'm going to sleep on a bench or whatever, protest or whatever. No, that was for the eviction moratorium. But what they're not telling you is, no, what they're trying to do is roll back the provisions that were made because of COVID. They made it easier. They want to keep those. They want to
cheat.
keep that stuff in place forever now.
Yep.
This is what they always do.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, this is just something for temporary right now because of what we're dealing with," but they don't want to roll it back now. They want to keep
Because
it in
it
place
works.
forever. So now they're trying to introduce bills to no. We got to go back to
Yeah.
you can't just sign 5 ballots and put them in a drop box, and you know what I mean. No, you can't do that. You got to have certain provisions in place, and they're saying no. This is
You don't need
Jim
ID.
Crow 2.0.
yeah. So.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I saw
Don't be
that.
blind.
That's what's going on. If you live in California, John, did you participate in this election? I know you technically still live in California.
I'm now a New Jersey resident. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were still Cali.
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Welcome to Murphy.
No, I do not.
You should have stayed in Cali.
Okay. Let me see. What
I was
else?
forced
What
to
else?
get my license here.
Oh, did you guys see the Sha'Carri Richards race?
No, I did not.
She finally competed in some Nike had some world.
Oh, I saw it.
You saw it? Yeah,
The
bring
weed,
this up.
the
bring this
weed
up.
got out of her system.
So the other night, I think this was like Saturday night. Dude, they were flaming this girl. Yo, it was. I know you saw it all over TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Dude, the memes were
Even
out
on
of
YouTube.
control, bro. Like Jamaicans, because look, check out this race. That's her in the platinum blonde hair there.
In the back.
Damn.
And
Yo, they smoked her.
and yeah, last place.
Damn.
Last place, guys. So of course the memes went out of control. And it was tons of Jamaican people going crazy.
Some of the images they put up of her, it wasn't really her, but it was like another image with the same hair.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah.
ridiculous.
People were using like memes of like, fat people running and falling. Like this is.
But with her hair
Yeah,
on.
yeah. It was just like it because she was going so hard talking trash.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like when it came time,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, man,
Last place.
last place,
last
dude,
place.
last place.
Sort of like the dude who couldn't beat the women.
Yeah, the weightlifter. Yeah.
Is this the like the time of like people falling on their face?
Falling off their high horses.
Pride,
Yo,
pride goes before the fall.
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of
Right?
people falling, have you guys seen the stupid crate?
Oh my god.
Yo, dude,
I just was exposed to that last night.
dude, they're getting.
Why?
Yo, I seen people like break their arm.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
They're really getting hurt, man. Like,
Yeah,
Let me see. Talk, James.
Okay.
Okay.
It came
okay,
back, yeah.
I think.
like why would you do that?
Because it's something else to
What were
do.
you saying? You saw it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So Jacob showed me last night. I had no idea this was going on.
Yeah.
They call them the Hood Olympics, right?
Did it start in the hood or where did it start?
Yeah, it started in the hood. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of people getting hurt.
I think
yo.
people are betting. I think it's like $1,000 if you make it across or something like that.
Make it up. And
There's
down.
some people that did it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. One of these other stupid challenges.
So I'm guessing the point is you have to make it across.
yeah. You got to go up.
There's a blue
go
or
down.
Pull this
colored
up, John.
crate
John.
That one's it.
Up top.
Oh no!
Yo,
That's-
that
that's
should
not
be
the milk
easier.
crate.
Yo,
That should be
That's
easy.
not the milk crates.
Yeah.
I've seen some.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I've seen some pretty bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
me
the
see, let me
bread
see, I'll
crates,
see if I
ain't
can
it?
Like the guy that was
Yeah,
bigger than me, he was
that's
like
more-
shaking
that's
at the
more-
top.
This is
Yeah.
this is the milk crates here.
I think this is the dude that did it.
He did it. Is he on?
Yeah.
What is he holding?
I think he's rolling
He's
a
rolling a
blunt
blunt while he
while
does it?
doing it.
Okay. Yo, what is the point of this?
Bro.
And if someone doesn't stack them crates like perfect,
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
going down no
Yeah.
matter
Each
what.
other, yeah.
And then you falling on the
Well, they
edges.
lock into each other, so
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone doesn't lock a couple of them in place,
yeah.
yo, dude, how long are you going to take, man?
There was like a big dude. He was on the top shaking. They call
Yeah.
it crazy.
He's trying to smoke it on the way down.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's like this is definitely.
I mean, it's all pride.
oh,
that's
that's
wrong.
messed up.
No, yeah.
Yo, that
yeah,
is
right.
wrong. Yo, you
Yo.
can kill somebody.
Yeah.
And everybody
That edge-
laughing.
The corner hitting somebody's face.
Yeah, yeah,
man. It's-
Oh, you could break a rib, man.
Where they all getting?
Yeah, I seen some. I seen some
This
late.
guy took a major L.
Oh snap! Yo, where you get all these crates from? What up?
This guy.
Yeah. Oh,
God.
Yo, some lady like you see like bones like breaking.
Man, they on concrete, man.
Oh snap!
That was the one I saw.
Oh, God.
Oh.
This looks like it's all the same house.
What? Why?
Two people were up there.
it does look like it's happening all at the same house.
Snap.
Yeah, old guy. to
Old
do
as
it.
hell.
Man, right on your face. Yo, not on the concrete.
Dummy.
Oh no, that's sand. Oh,
Okay.
Some hard falls, man.
Yeah, you can get hurt.
I haven't,
Bad.
haven't
Like-
seen a survivor yet.
Only
We
the
just
weed,
saw one, the
only
weed
the
guy.
weed smoker.
No thanks.
All right. I had enough. watching these people on these crates.
There's only a couple more. Oh man,
That's
why?
just pride.
Why?
I bet I could do it.
Just boredom.
Why, man? Yikes.
I wouldn't do that. I'd rather throw a frisbee in between two
Yeah.
poles and try to knock the cup off.
Yep.
Shout out to Stephanie. Good evening. Mom said, I heard a guy say that the FDA approval for Pfizer was supposed to come out in September or October, but they put it out faster to take away from what's going on in Afghanistan. That's all speculation. It's fine.
Shout out to Courtney Stewart.
Courtney Stewart, what's up? Hey guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. Before we get into this main topic, I think I only got like one more thing here from. Oh yeah, so this is a video that Anomaly put up. Shout out to Anomaly, an NBA player who I think is from Australia. Did like a post on I think Instagram, talking about his experience with being contacted about the lockdowns and stuff like that, and you just watch it.
Whether you're an actor, an actress, a sports star, an influencer, from getting a nice boob job and looking good, I don't care. Whoever you are, why don't we hear you speaking up? The silence is deafening. Let me give you the reason why. Last year, about 3 or 4 months into this pandemic, I got a message from somebody. I'm not going to name who it was or where it came from. I got offered money to put out a public service announcement for you everyday plebs to stay home. We were something like this. Hi, I'm Andrew Bogut, former NBA washed-up athlete, former Olympian, whatever you want to call it. It's your duty to stay home. Do the right thing for the community. I've got money in my bank account. I'm good. I'm fine. I can fill up my fridge with food. Got cars. I can even somewhat get to different parts of the world if I really wanted to. But you, stay home. Do the right thing for the community. We are all in this together. I refuse to do that shit. And I was offered money for it. I don't need the money. You're right. I was offered money for it. I refuse to do that shit. Now, that's a personal choice I made because I knew that I was that person that I'd be giving the message to when I was a kid. I was once that person that's told, you're not essential. Check the community, stay home. So put 2 and 2 together. Why do you think a lot of these people haven't put messages out? Why do you think they've put contra messages out saying, do the right thing? Oh, don't do this, don't do that. You got to stay home. You're not essential. I am. I can shoot my influencer video here on the beach and I'm deemed essential. Here's my media pass. But you're not essential. They're getting paid for that shit for the most part. Athletes that are in leagues all around Australia and even the world to an extent, I know for Australia for a fact because I've had people reach out to me, have been muzzled. Athletes that are on contract in our biggest leagues in Australia, AFL, NRL, whatever you want to call it, they've been told you are not to make anti-lockdown, anti-government statements on social media, period, no matter how drastic they are, because it affects our league staying open and you getting salaries.
All right. Thoughts?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
From control standpoint.
He didn't take the money.
Yeah.
To try to persuade people to do something.
You know who did take the money?
Juvenile vaxxed that thing up. Did?
Oh, he definitely took that money. Vaxxed that thing up.
I was just going to say.
He did a few different like PSAs.
Did he?
Yeah, and I've seen like a lot of celebrities come out with and you always see like the little mashups. Remember the Imagine video? Remember the what was the other one they did?
Run DMC?
No. I will no longer turn a blind eye. With the black and white video.
Black Lives Matter thing.
Yeah. It's like you.
Aaron Paul.
Yeah, it was a bunch of people. And we all were like laughing, like, "Yo, what? Why would they make this? This is so cringy." But it makes more sense when you think that like these people reach out to them, like, "We need y'all to make this content. We'll pay you," or the studio or the league or something makes them do it, or also keeps them. You're not allowed to speak out against it,
And they also too they recognize the power of influence. If you have a celebrity saying something or someone, who are mass like following music, art, whatever it is, people are going to naturally be more inclined to listen to them because they like them.
Yep.
Or they think what they have to say is important. So if you can pay someone, I mean, behind the scenes, obviously. Plus, I think a lot of times too, what happens is, you know, sometimes people get threatened, you know, to say the thing that needs to be said. Remember when Snoop Dogg cursed out Gayle King about the Kobe incident?
Yeah.
Maybe about a week went by and he had a totally different attitude.
Yeah.
And then I can only imagine all those commercials he's in, all the endorsements he's in. Someone made the call and said, do you like these things?
Right.
And he was on Red Table Talk with Jada and her daughter crying.
Apologizing,
crying about it because it's people are beholden to the money, you know? So these athletes, that's what it is. A lot of them aren't really that educated to begin with. So they're just going to do what they're told. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't want to lose out on their riches.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the government can't control who's famous and who's not famous. They can only control you once you have attained a certain status. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they give you that, and then now they control it. You know what I mean?
They can threaten to take it all away,
Right.
and that's their leverage.
Right.
You know, that's why they have Jeffrey Epstein's out there. That's why they have these people that they put in positions of power to compromise you so that they can take away what you've built up at any time. And then by means of that is they can control the narrative. They can control what you say, what you will agree to, what you will speak out against, you know.
In fact, they want it. They want you to be famous.
Right.
They want you to, because they know once you've tasted that or you've seen the back room per se, you're not going to want to turn your back on that.
Right.
You know, so they have you, you know.
Yeah. It's we were talking about a few weeks ago the taskmaster, you know what I mean, and the idea that the devil, he offers you these things like he did with Adam and Eve, you know what I mean?
Even Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus, but Jesus didn't take it. But I'm saying like they you know, Eve took the bait.
Yeah.
Cuz it's like I'm giving you the opportunity to have all these things, but you don't see the price. You don't see what you're giving up. You don't see the freedoms that you're giving up.
Yeah.
You know,
and we're going to get more into it when we get to the red pill stuff.
Yeah. Cool. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I saw that dude's video. Anomaly put that up. But okay. So let's go into this what's happening in the manosphere. For those that don't know, the manosphere is this this culture that has kind of erupted in the YouTube space, and it started out with mostly like dating coach guys, like the dating coach culture. You remember that in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like MTV had a show. There was a few things where it was like this dating coach culture where it's like, we'll teach you how the pickup artist, you know what I mean? We'll teach you how to get girls, you know what I mean? Which is already a culture of just nonsense, you know what I mean? It's already a degenerative idea,
right?
Because what it does is it devalues women. It devalues relationships. It devalues marriage. It turns it into just you know, how many girls can you have sex with?
It devalues the person who's in it.
It devalues you too, right? And so what it does is it continues
which is interesting. I just want to say, because it's called you know, high valued men,
right?
And high valued
So it's the inversion of it, right? And that's the way the devil always works. It's through inversion.
Right.
So it's like he'll say high value, but really
it's no value.
Yeah, no value. Right. Which is the thing you always got to look out for. And I think as we get older, and I think as we teach younger men to spot those inversions, so that you know not to fall for them.
Can I add to it a little bit?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I would say that part of it too was birthed out of what the 90s and early 2000s was, with shows like The View, a lot of show that really focus around female issues. So part of that was there's really no show for men. There's really nowhere you can go to and listen to men talk. That's not kind of like the man show, like, you know what I mean, like where
it's
they
just
they tried
but it's
view,
silly.
View
It's
version
it's
I remember, but it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Well, because they didn't factor in the fact that men don't sit home during the day
Right.
watching daytime
Right.
TV.
Yeah,
Right.
they're
You
working.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this movement really was sort of, because if you go back, there's clips on like The View where one of the, I think it was Sharon Osbourne, was talking about, there was an article, they're reading the little fun facts article, and the
I
article
know
was
exactly where you're going. Yeah.
a husband divorced his wife. She cut his penis off.
Threw it in the garbage disposal.
And the audience erupts. It's a bunch of females.
She starts cracking up laughing.
She's cracking up
She thought it
laughing.
was hilarious.
So it's
Yeah.
And I think Aber addressed this when he says, I found that as a young man to be very, disheartening and to be enraging.
Yeah.
So what he's found from that was like almost like, there's nothing for men to express their frustration about women,
Right.
their dating scene, and the ridiculousness, because we all know that if a group of men were sitting around talking and, hey, and by the way, I cut her
Yeah.
sexual organ or her breast off
Right.
and I threw it, there was no way that anybody would erupt in laughter or that show would even exist 2 minutes after that.
They would be out there protesting for the arrest.
Right. So
Yeah. But even before that, I remember as a kid, I don't know if y'all remember this, but remember Lorena Bobbitt.
Yes.
I remember that story just
and there was a little women were cheering it
yes,
because they agree with it.
And boys would joke about it because
Right.
it was
It
like
was
a
silly.
horrible thing.
Yeah.
But it was never spoken about as like, this is horrible.
This is horrible.
No one should ever do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter what he did to you,
Right.
that's not the where you should take it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And off of that now was birthed a couple of comedians and a couple of radio hosts that sort of took this approach to like call out women on the foolishness that they would believe in or subscribe to, but more in a satirical way.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, the dating coach, the pickup artist movement started.
Right.
And then YouTube came around, then a
Yeah.
couple of guys, the red pill, if you guys ever seen The Matrix, you
Yeah.
know what it is.
Red pill and blue pill is referring to the Matrix,
Right.
which is weird because they use that in so many different things now.
Yeah, it's
So in the manosphere aspect, red pill means
you're opening
that,
your eyes.
that you no longer worship women, and
Yeah.
blue pill means
Right.
that you still hold women up on a pedestal.
Right.
But it even goes even further beyond that, because like me and you talk about all the time, like it's really men's fault.
It
Because men have lost their way as leaders, as fathers,
Right.
and as the ones that are supposed to nurture and keep a culture of honor and sanctity in marriage and in relationship and
Right.
and in the church and all of those things. And so you watch the feminism movement grow out of that,
Yeah.
because like we were saying in the past, you had men were worshiping like, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, all of these crooners and James Bond, who gets the girl every time.
Yeah, we
you know?
worship that.
Yeah, men worship that idea of
Sexuality, yeah.
having sexual abundance.
The
You know what I
Playboy.
mean? Yeah.
Playboy had a show called Playboy After Dark,
Right.
where it was essentially about that. So for years, women watched that, and what they're doing is really copying men's behavior.
Right.
They're copying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sex and the City would have been the Rat Pack.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The Dean Martin, Sammy.
Right.
I can't remember the other
And
guy's name.
feminism was this movement that was telling women, you
You
should
can do
do
this.
this.
Yeah.
You should. We played that interview with the woman from Cosmopolitan that was talking about how they pushed these ideas to women, knowing that it was not necessarily beneficial for them. The
Right.
idea that you should do what men do.
Right.
You should chase career. You
Right.
should chase.
And it'd be counteractive to what family values would.
Right.
There's no way you could sustain a family or a loving relationship doing that kind of stuff. Both men and women.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So to say all that to say that what that is doing, you see this divide happening between men and women.
Yes.
Where it's like there's no real idea of what that union is supposed to be.
Right.
It just becomes, what do I get out of this, or what do I get out of this?
And YouTube became the space for a couple of guys to get a couple of mics,
Right.
yell at some women,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
make a platform.
Right. So the manosphere kind of emerged within the last 5 or 6 years, where you had a couple dating coaches get into this content that they were making, where it would just be about kind of waking men up to not pedestalizing women so much.
Yeah.
And kind of understanding that they have value as a man.
There's some truth in it.
There is truth there because we are told, we have feminism and all of these ideas have kind of crushed men into this notion that you have to be chivalrous, you have to, worship the woman, and everything is about her, and I think a lot of men have realized through their own relationships and divorce being sky high and just this constant battle of being hurt because you pedestalize your wife and then she cheats on you for another guy and you're like, what was all that about? So then you have hurt on top of hurt. Women are hurt because men aren't taking up their role, and then men are hurt because the ones that think they're taking up their role in the wrong way are now being they're not reaping the rewards that they were told were going to happen. So now they're hurt, and then the divide continues. So the manosphere can kind of erupt in that and tell men, don't do that anymore. Women will respect you more if you treat them like crap, basically. You know what I mean?
And subsequently, the whole goal is don't worship them. Be mean to them.
Be what they want to worship.
And you'll get more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't worship them, manipulate them.
Manipulate them,
really,
exactly. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Yeah. That boils it down. Be the guy that they will worship. Mm-hmm. Don't worship them. Be the guy that they will worship. So it's just a power struggle. Mm. There is no connecting. There is no understanding of what your role is.
Yeah.
There's no true relation.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just conquest.
There's no God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we always say. Where is the church in all of this? Mm-hmm. It's not there. Why? How come that in the midst of all of this, there should be a foundation from the church of saying like, no, this is what it is. That men would have been able to grab onto. There's a reason why it's mostly women in church, because the church it stays away from that topic because it doesn't want to lose that power it has where it's mostly women. Right.
Because they're vested into certain things too, books, DVDs.
Yeah.
They're really not going to sell. Most men in general don't really read, and men are not going to buy certain self-help books. It's just statistically that way. So they're not going to alienate their audience, the people who do buy those things, who come to those seminars. Any of those seminars, it's pretty much women. It's like we know that car shows are going to attract more men.
Yeah.
We know that seminars on wealth and building wealth are going to attract more men. Mm-hmm. Seminars on inner growth and achieving your best in terms of you, the individual, more women are going to go to that. You know what I mean? Right.
But where I think what the church needed to do was to ground all of that and say the car shows are attracting men and the business things are attracting men, and it's good to build those things. It's good to be successful, but why are you doing it?
Right. And I think too, you and I were talking about this, right? The church doesn't explain why the ancient cultures did. Maybe it's different from what today's time would allow, but they did have an understanding of how family life worked, how marriage, how the picking in relationship would have worked.
Right.
There was essentially no dating, which anytime you say that to anybody, they're like, oh, I don't have a choice.
Right,
but we look at the consequence that comes with that, or the outcome, right?
Yeah, we've been taught that that's oppressive.
That's oppressive.
Right. Instead of
but
no,
the
it's
ancients
beneficial.
did.
Yeah.
They did. They had a vetting process for picking.
Because there's a benefit to your family. Your parents are supposed to be the ones that have the understanding of where you're coming from, like what your partner, where their mindset, their family, their upbringing, what their moral foundation, where all that comes from.
Right.
That used to be the case.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now it's kind of like we give all the power over to teenagers and young people that have no idea what they're doing, and they make all these mistakes, and then we expect them to just navigate this dating world unscathed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's connected to capitalism gone wrong, really, because are we subservient to God, or are we subservient to making money? You know what I mean? And
most of the time, making money.
Right. So then you're looking at how do you become successful? Men going to car shows, they're looking at these things, right?
Right.
So it's how do I get these things? And it's about making money. So then your focus is in the wrong place, and now you're creating these constructs, and you don't even realize you're doing it.
Yeah.
But you're serving. You know, when we were in our meeting one time, one of our many A&R meetings, you know, with different music labels. I remember one guy was like, "Yeah, you gotta look to the 12 and 13-year-olds."
Yep.
And I'm sitting here like, dude,
why are we letting them
are you
dictate
serious? Like,
what culture is?
Exactly. And he's literally saying they tell us what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the problem.
That's the
You know,
problem.
we got it backwards.
Yeah.
And
But look at TikTok. Look at like this is the culture that we have invented, the MTV culture.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what he's saying too is they're impulsive. They're gonna buy. They're not gonna think of anything else. They're just gonna spend their money.
They're the ones spending money.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, their parents are buying it for them.
And if you look at it, it's who spends the most money? It's through kids but the greater than that, women.
Right.
Right. Women spend the most.
They're the most impulsive buyers.
Right. So, and of course, kids. So, what we're looking at is an inversion, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when that happens, everything's out of order.
Right.
And that's the issue. It's the out of order.
We're out of order.
I'm trying to think. It's the out of orderness.
Yeah.
And it starts with the church. I always bring it back to the church because the church is the key to it all, right? And all we got to do is look at the world to see what is needed in the church, right? And that's the issue. So the point is we got to look at ourselves.
Yeah.
And we got to humble ourselves. What's out of order in our families? What's out of order in our lives?
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And you're seeing that.
Have y'all been like watching any of that content just to kind of like gauge it?
I have.
Like the
ManosFEAR
Kevin
stuff?
Samuels, the O'Shea Duke Jackson.
I mean, I've seen some stuff.
I've seen
I tried to watch the Fresh and Fit dudes.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sickening.
I turned it off.
Yeah, because you discern what it is immediately. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think a lot of people who are coming from a place of hurt and damage, they cling on to those things because it gives them some sense of gratification where they don't get it in dating. You know what I mean? Like I know for me and James talk about this as soon as we saw the Fresh and Fit thing. Like their whole audience is basically just like nerdy guys that want to see attractive women get crapped
shitted
on.
on,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Want to see
And that's
them
what,
get,
in a sense, they are.
Right.
I mean, Myron is a good-looking guy, and you can see why. But he doesn't display a mature male's attitude.
Yeah.
Him screaming and yelling,
and he's awkward, and
Right.
he's not. He might be like he's in shape. He might be attractive to certain females, but he has no game. So he resorts to I'm going to make a bunch of money. So these
Right.
girls, and I'm going to leverage my platform.
And
Is this what's coming out now? Is
yes,
that like
yes.
he
Yeah.
leveraged?
I think that's what people don't realize is
Yeah.
that when someone comes to you with a sales pitch,
Yeah.
they're not going to do this off of their goodwill.
Right.
The motive for them is some sort of financial gain.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is setting you up. It's just like pretty much all of those channels that's geared to men. There's always some penis pill
Right.
or something
Right.
that they know
They're
guys.
always
are-
selling something.
They're always
Yeah.
selling something like
Right.
that. Get your credit score. Get your six pack.
Yeah,
It's
right,
like
right,
it's
right.
they're setting you up to spend money with them. You know what I mean?
We'll teach you how to fix up
And
your
they recognize
Instagram.
that, and that content of hot women yelling at them or talking down to them or whatever it is.
and then they kick them out, and then like
Right.
Yeah.
right.
They know an insecure guy who his goal in life is just to go out and sleep with as much women. He's
Right.
going to resonate with that. And there's a lot of young men who can't control that desire.
Right. And then Kevin Samuels blows up because he's well-dressed, slightly effeminate man who's telling black women you're average at best, which is something that
Right.
no one would dare say.
Because there's
So
some
it becomes
ridiculous in the word.
salacious.
Yeah,
It's salacious.
And here's the thing: when the women he basically asked them to list the attributes,
Right.
And then when he does that, it's basically he sets them up to basically turn it on them.
Yeah,
you know,
he's letting them dig their own grave.
Right, and it's perfect.
Right,
you know, he and it's what we all have been thinking, but no one would say that because they don't want to offend anybody.
Right, because it's not about tearing people down, but he's exposing the delusion that.
And what he's saying to them isn't necessarily wrong. It's just that he figured out that I can get people triggered,
and I can. This is my formula to just continue to grow my channel.
Right,
you know what I mean.
And then he has another alternative. Come to my class.
Right. Come to my class and I'll teach you how to get the man that you want. But we're setting all this to show that like this idea of the high value man.
It's nonsense.
No, but this is where it came from. It came from this whole mess of ideas stemming from all this trauma, all of these things, all of this back and forth, this idea of the high value man.
Yeah, hurt.
And
rejection.
Right. And what they're doing is they're trying to tell men, become this high value man so that you can then have the pick of the litter with women.
Yep.
But
the problem is, I was going to say the foundation is off.
Exactly.
Like, they built up this man. Now you're this high value man, but
what makes you? But what value though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like how value in what sense?
Right.
Like just the fact that you make a bunch of money doesn't make you valuable, and that's where they go wrong.
You're living by the world standpoint.
Yeah, and as young men, you know, we all can relate to that. When we started to really focus on women, there's a lot of things that we did that was ridiculous. If we had TikTok and Instagram and Tinder when we were 19 and 20, it would have been hard.
Right.
The whole thing is slowing down and realizing that what these guys are doing, it's poison.
And that's what the point I was trying to get to is that what they're not addressing is the problem of men chasing women constantly.
Yeah.
The idea, this is where this all the start of all of this is from that.
Yeah.
So you're just perpetuating it even further.
Yeah.
You're just saying like, oh well, they can't reject you if you become,
and it'll never be enough. You can get the most beautiful woman.
Yeah.
If you go based on that, you'll get the most beautiful, and they'll always be. But what if there's one better?
And it doesn't fix the problem, because then what women are going to do is they're going to start having their own idea of how do we counterbalance this high value man thing, and then we can do this, and then now we have the power again. You know what I mean? So
high valued woman.
Yeah, but high value woman. So what you see happening is now, what is a high value woman? Think about it. Like in the mindset of women that are not winning, it's a woman who's successful, entrepreneur, highly educated. That's a lot of the women that they're tearing down and showing them that you're wrong. That's what they consider a high value woman. But what's really becoming the high value woman is the woman with the fake butt, the fake boobs, and the lip injections.
And that's men's fault because we chase
this
them.
Is what I'm saying. Yeah. So you're these guys, the Myrons, the Fresh and Fits, the Kevin Samuels, the O'Shea Jacksons, who they found out was going to Africa, sleeping with underage girls, like going to Brazil all the time to sleep with prostitutes. Like this is the culture that you're promoting. You know,
these guys are phony
because it's just about getting numbers. But what I'm saying is like, the women that you're gonna get out of this are the ones that realize I can get these dudes by doing this. All I gotta do is have a fake butt, be in the gym, fake boobs, fake lips. I can get these dudes.
And essentially that's what exposed them, was the very thing he's telling people to do,
right,
or not to do, he's doing,
right. And I think that's where we're at now. So I
have no idea about this exposure thing.
Well, we'll get into that, but first I want to play the video that Jake sent, which is like a bunch of people talking about the high value man concept. So we'll play that, and then we'll get into.
Real quick though, Stephanie said relationship of husband and wife, quote unquote, directions. The user manual is all in the Bible, but we have gotten so far away from God and become the me world.
That's right.
Your focus becomes your God, then you've lost your sight of God.
Yeah, I think that's what people don't understand. Like Jake was saying, it's out of order. The order is man is supposed to seek God, learn how to love God, and then that trickles down to the wife. Then that trickles down to the children, and then that that cycle continues.
That builds a strong
And
foundation.
that extends out to the community, which which creates the whole culture.
Shout out to Emma.
Shout out Emma.
He thought we was gonna be on Thursday.
Sorry, bro. Tuesdays. We only do Thursdays if we can't. It's usually always Tuesday, but sometimes we can't do Tuesday, so we do a random Thursday. But always tune in on Tuesdays. All right, let me play this video.
Another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things high value men never do. Part 1. Number 1, don't give women money. Don't be a simp. Number 2, don't pedestalize women. Women are not the prize. You as the man are the prize. Number 3, don't disclose all information to women. Be a mystery, right? Your best leverage with women is using their imagination and sparking curiosity.
High value men specifically should avoid disagreeable women, single moms and feminists and stuff like that. Unhealthy women.
Basic principles. You need to have the money.
That's Kevin Samuels right there.
$10,000 a month. $10,000 a month for at least 60 months. That's 5 years. You gotta have group acceptance. You know, if I came into the gym and I considered myself to be a workout man, a gym rat, should have to know, he looks like he belongs in our tribe. You have to have a network. And this is what jacks most people up. That network means you can have a lot of money as an individual. You can have it for a certain length of time, and you can look like you belong in a group. But if you don't have a network of other high-value men, you have no use to the group.
These 3 ways will make you a high-value man. Remaining stoic. If you are messaging a girl that you are seeing and all of a sudden she goes dry and cold on you, a high-value man doesn't show his frustration by texting her why she is silent. He will leave the message and keep it moving. And when you do this, most of the time, the women just end up coming back around.
So when you listen to all of this, mute that real quick, John. All you're hearing is leverage. It's all about leverage. It's about what can I do so that I can manipulate these women into being obsessed with me instead of me pedestalizing them. You're not there. All it's doing is changing a power dynamic, but it still perpetuates the same bad culture of sleeping around, dating, damaging people emotionally, physically, psychologically. Like it just continues the same.
Well, they can't tell them don't do that because once they say don't sleep with them, those guys are gone.
Oh yeah, right. Well, but this is what I'm saying. Like
nothing about love though.
Yeah, I'm just trying to point out.
Yeah,
like,
no, I got you.
Because the women that they are after, like what the one person was saying, like, don't go after women who are argumentative or feminist or blah 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 blah. Like that's not bad advice, but there's no understanding there. There's no like it's just avoid those women.
Can I add to it a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. So they've always been prostitution, right?
Right.
Men would have gone. These guys that are talking, they would have gone, and some of them probably do, go to prostitutes to fulfill whatever need they want. But what these guys are saying is, we don't want prostitutes.
Right.
We want regular women.
Right.
We don't want to go to women who have been with, this is what they do. We want to go to the girl who is a good girl and essentially spoil her.
And this is kind of like where the whole beef and the whole crumbling of this manosphere is starting to come out now, because that's where the argument started over. The idea of, Fresh and Fit were saying like no man should go to prostitutes, never pay for sex, blah 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 blah. Aber and Preach were kind of saying like they were arguing against that and like saying why that doesn't make sense,
right?
Which I don't agree with, but I understand what they were trying to lay out there when you come from the mindset of not caring about those things. But
and what men with power do,
right.
But
what they exposed was that all these dudes that are preaching that, this is what they're doing behind closed doors. They're paying for sex all the time.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Sugar
like,
baby sites. Because that's what I'm saying though. It's these guys essentially would have been the customers of the brothel houses,
right?
But they don't want just those girls,
right?
They want the new girl that comes. They want the girl who's innocent. They want that. They want to be the guy turning her out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they know that if they tell these guys, yes, go down to Brazil, go down to Taiwan, go down to these places, they're not going to do that. But if they can convince them that, listen, you could trick these girls into sleeping with you, pretending to have the money. I remember a friend of mine, you guys all know who it is, but I'm not going to mention his name. But I remember he one time had a receipt, and the receipt had on it, 1 million or 1.7 million. And he would write his number, like he would talk to a girl and he would write his number on the back of it. So when she turned it over, it was all receipts he bought online to when the girl would turn over 1.7 million.
So it'd be like, this is how much money I have?
Yes. And it worked.
It worked.
It worked.
Wow. That's like the guy who rents the Ferrari.
Yes.
And
yes. And they can't see, the thing is, they can't say that because that's all recycled information.
Yeah.
So now if they can try and be like, oh, level up in this way, say this, never do this, that's essentially the same guy who's like, buy these receipts.
Right.
But
there is no like, all right, let's start teaching girls not to be impressed by those things.
Sure.
Not to, like, these things don't matter. It's like, nah, just pretend you're that guy so that these girls
you can't, because once you have movies like what's the movie with the wealthy guy, Grey's
Anatomy.
No.
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey, and you have movies that are based in these fantasies. Women are going to fall right in line.
Never saw it.
Don't want to either.
Yeah.
Sounds like modern healthcare. Deal with the symptoms.
Right.
Like all of these guys are giving answers for the symptoms.
Right.
Get to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
But no one wants to.
Nobody wants to because it won't make you. They won't have their channel.
The root cause. Okay, Tamala.
And when you go to Kevin Samuel's channel and you look at all his titles are very clickbaity. Even though his audience is mostly women, but I think there's a lot of men that watch his stuff just out of like
get them.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that mindset, because all his titles are like, are modern women lost? Can modern women be wives? Delusional modern woman thinks she deserves a six-figure man. You know what I mean? Like these are all his titles. And it just creates this divide of like us against them mentality.
Same thing Cosmopolitan did with their magazine.
They did the same thing, So you see, this is what I'm saying. This is the pendulum swinging the other way.
Yeah.
But the thing about a pendulum, it always goes back. So this is what they don't understand. And then what we're dealing with now is a lot of these people are being exposed, and a lot of this culture that was built up around this manosphere is now it's sinking. Like it's like built on sand. You know what I mean? And we're seeing that happen. A lot of guys are they don't know what to do.
Right.
This Fresh and Fit stuff, like they did a whole 5-hour live stream last night.
What did they?
Like trying to go into all the allegations and trying to apologize for things.
They took a big hit.
Yeah.
They lost about what? Almost 50,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Myron gave his real name and told people that he used to work for the FBI. Like this, he went on this whole thing, like, because people were exposing him. They put his information out there, showed like casework that he did, which also, me and my then I start thinking like, wait a minute,
put on the hat,
because dude, they have over 400,000 subscribers. You know when they started their first podcast?
When?
In October.
Wow.
How does your channel grow that fast? You know what I'm saying? Like, then it's like,
but even if it did and it was natural, like, any way you look at it, like, that's gonna set you up. Why does it grow that fast?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why? Because there's pride there. Like,
and there's a lot of scheming, a lot of. Like, they built a lot of it up around pulling from other people's clout. Like, they were obsessed with Kevin Samuels trying to come on their thing to validate them. Abba and Preach went on there to validate them. They kept bringing in other people.
The collabs.
Yeah, the collabs. And now all of these people are coming out and exposing them.
Essentially they're the same fans. Most of these guys have subscribed to like the same guy subscribed to like probably about 5 or 6 of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're going to listen to the same thing.
Yeah, you're just searching for the same content.
Yeah.
Read more validation for why you hate women.
Right.
Why you deserve to sleep with all of them and not care about them.
Right, because a lot of guys can't articulate how they feel.
Yeah.
So if you could hear someone say something, like we talk about Patrice O'Neal a lot.
And that's where a lot of this comes from.
Mm-hmm. Patrice O'Neal had a lot of good worldly philosophy, but it's not correct. It again, chewing the meat, spitting out the bones, because you can't follow a guy like that.
Right.
What he's saying about his objective view is correct, but as far as it being a lifestyle, no.
Yeah.
No. But he's not also he's participating in a wrong too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of men don't want to admit that it is our fault. Like we talked about before, men essentially created the space for women to want to rebel against them because it was the Playboy culture.
Yep.
It was the crooners. It was the guys running around sleeping with 20 women, and it was normal. So women were like, okay, now it's our turn.
Yeah, men having children all over the globe because there was no way to track. There was no child support back then.
Right.
You know, so then they allowed,
and we never held men accountable.
Right.
We never called out, because I've actually heard this. I've actually heard men say, high five one another when they talk about sleeping around. But if someone did it to their daughter, they want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very normal. No one ever says you're a hypocrite, man.
So then, what does that do? Think about it. In the 60s and 70s, that allows room for now the government to come in and fill a void there for
because
women.
they picked up on it.
So they're saying like, oh well, men are leaving you guys, men are walking out on you, men are divorcing, you guys are getting divorced at high rates. A lot of single mothers. We'll come in, we'll take care of you.
Right.
We'll step in. That brings me to, well, we'll go back to the man. But while we're talking about that, I just want to show this one video that I saw that I thought was crazy, and I'm hoping that this woman is trolling. Play this real quick.
A lot of people got something to say about the fact that I got 6 kids with 6 different men. So I'm just going to tell y'all why it is better to do it this way. If I had 6 kids with all the same dude, I get 34% of his income, which is only $680 a month. If I got 6 kids with 6 different dudes, I get 17% from each one of them, which is $340 a month from each one. $340 a month times 6 baby daddies is $2,040. So why don't you have 6 baby daddies?
Yeah, she's trolling.
She's trolling.
You think she's trolling with the mask and everything? Yeah. But what it speaks to is this.
This is
the way government stepped in and gave a safety net to a lot of these women for to now be in the place where it's like, I don't need men.
Right.
We never have to fix this thing because the government will do it. You know what I mean?
and like I said, again, and this goes back to men not holding men accountable. Like, yo, why are you out here doing this stuff? Like, as one of the things was, for me, I remember growing up in Trinidad and men being held accountable. Yeah. You know, because it was a shameful thing. Right. You were shamed for having a bunch of kids, whether male or female, or children out of wedlock. You know, that was not.
And there was a time in this country where that was the case,
right?
You know?
And then that became really stuffy. And how dare you judge me? And all of a sudden, people started defending chaotic behavior, and then wonder why we're where we're at. But I remember that, you know, where I'm from, neighbors talking about somebody who did that. And basically saying, don't ever do this kind of thing, because they understood that. And these people weren't Harvard educated, they didn't have PhDs, but there was a certain principle they understood. And most of these people followed Judeo-Christian values. Yeah. Because they understood that, listen, you can't go around spreading your seed like this without no consequence. You know what I mean? And or the other thing would be, they would be shunned by the community. Right. You know, their family, their kids would be shunned.
It wasn't accepted.
It wasn't accepted.
There wasn't this idea that I can do this and there's no problem with it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and over here, it took on that, well, don't judge them.
Yeah.
Let her live her life. Let him live his life, you know?
I think it was earlier, like 50s, 60s. It was more like probably how it was in Trinidad. But what I see...
The 60s, it started moving to more of the sexual liberation.
Right. Yeah. And that's why, because of that. Because what was happening is that, that's cool to do that and to hold people accountable. But the issue is that people just go into hiding.
Right. They don't understand why they're being held accountable.
Right.
There's no foundational understanding there to say, like, no, this is why we do this.
And, and that's the backing. That's where the church...
Yeah.
Like, you got to deal with the root cause. You got to. Why are you doing that?
Right.
Why are you going out? Why do you have these desires? That's what people don't want to. They just want to. Shouldn't be doing that. But why?
Right.
And when you hold them accountable. And we ask questions. A lot of times, it's spiritual stuff, you know. And we got to deal with that spirit.
Yeah.
You know, we got to deal with that root thing that wants to hide.
Yep.
Doesn't want to be seen. You know. And when you see people like doing what they're doing now, like they're just trying to hide the root of their issue.
Right.
You know, whether it's women, whether it's men, they're hiding their
and
roots.
what you see, it's a hiding, but a push to not have to hide.
It's a push of that false image. They push that forward so that they can hide.
But what I'm saying is like, it's hiding, but there's always like the progressive view is I want to push culture so that I don't have to hide anymore.
I bring it out in the open.
Right.
So I can be what I truly want to be out in the open.
What I desire.
What I desire.
And that's actually
so you're oppressing me by making me have to hide what I am instead of maybe what I desire shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? That's the inversion of it. You know,
and that's why when you give people more and more freedom, ground, because it's not real freedom.
Right, you're giving up ground.
You're giving them the ability to do whatever they want. You're reinforcing them. It's like a child. You know? You're reinforcing them in what has overtaken them.
Yeah.
And then that's what they push forward. So when you come against them, that's why they lash out. Like, it's full demonic manifestation. You see people going crazy. And it's like, because that thing is pushed forward now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And sometimes stringent rule and harsh sentences causes people, even though that's their desire, it causes people to like, don't do it.
Yeah.
I remember watching this thing. It was about a village in the Amazon, and it was all through subtitles. But basically, a guy got a girl, one of the tribal men got a woman pregnant that he wasn't supposed to get pregnant. He ran. They hunted him down, brought him back, and made a they killed him.
Right.
But they made a spectacle out of him
right.
for all the other men. And they did it in front of the men,
right.
not the women. They brought him back and they had him all tied up
right.
like a wild animal.
Right, to show that we won't tolerate this.
We won't tolerate this.
Right.
And they brought him back out. I mean, they didn't show that part. This was from like the 70s. It was like one of them old.
Yeah.
But they were basically showing how justice is done. You know. Well, now, are they handling it the right way?
Yeah,
no.
right.
But they were basically trying to intimidate all the other young men.
Zero tolerance policy.
Well, when you look at biblically, like you look at the Old Testament and the law,
they had a zero tolerance policy.
But why? Because it spreads like
it
spreads
cancer,
like wildfire.
Yeah,
like cancer.
Right.
Because it's the spirit that has caught them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has infiltrated them. People look at the image. So if you're bearing that image, right?
Yeah.
You're pushing that forward. And somebody sees it, and they're like, "Oh, I like that. Let me take that on myself."
Right.
You know, and it becomes contagious. But when you have to deal with it in that way. But the greatest thing is that we got Jesus who took that all on.
Right.
So now we have power over those demonic, because it's really demonic.
Yeah.
Like, I know people don't like to say, "Oh, demon," but it's really demonic.
Yeah.
Strongholds in our life because you're like, "Okay, I don't want to do this.
Right.
Why am I doing it?" Yeah, because you're dealing with something that's outside of yourself, but it's inside of yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It could be generational. It could be from never been dealt with from your past. You know,
it could be from opening yourself up to sleeping with
somebody.
somebody.
Yep.
And which is why they say don't sleep with somebody.
Yeah.
I think
allowing those ideas in that we get programmed into. You know, you're a kid and you see the Sports Illustrated edition with Tyra Banks on the cover, and you're like, I like that. I like that. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue watching this High Value Man video.
Hey ladies, y'all said y'all wanted tips on how you can identify a man of higher value. Stay calm, I got you. Okay, so y'all been in my comment section heavy these past couple videos talking about men like this don't even exist. Where can I find me one? I've been looking in the daytime with a flashlight. Let me put you on. Number one, men of higher value not talking on their manhood, especially if y'all first met. He not bringing it up in convo. He not hyping himself up about what he can do in the bedroom.
The key to being a high-valued man doesn't necessarily mean you have to have all the glitz and glamour to impress a female. It's understanding this key fact that you can go with or without her and continue on your way, with or without.
3 things modern women are missing that make them unattractive to high-value men.
A cookbook. A cookbook, yeah.
Yeah, baby, you did
A
this.
treadmill.
You gonna solve the puzzle? I'm the missing piece. You don't want to touch me.
There is one thing that a high-value man will never do, and this is also one of the biggest female turnoffs of all time. So if you do happen to be doing this, then stop immediately, because it is destroying your game. This type of guy is called a pick-me boy. They tend to use this emoji, and they are constantly talking about how they'll never have a girlfriend. They are doing this for attention, but that's not even the worst part. They really believe saying this to girls will make the girls suddenly fall for him out of
the marketplace today in the modern world after all these waves of feminism have.
So this is a subject for me that's a bit off topic on my TikTok channel, okay? But I have to speak on it. So this new phenomenon of high value men that's hitting our society is basically reversed feminism. That's all it is. Men are now saying, oh, we only want women in the top 10%. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with having...
What did I say? The pendulum swinging the other way. That's exactly what it is. She's right.
As a person. But now every second man is now a high-value coach, giving other men advice on what types of women to avoid, what types of women not to go for. And it's exactly what feminism done.
So
and
I just want to say
backfired.
something to that. Because what are you focused on? You're focused on the negative.
Yeah.
You're focused always looking for what's it called? The signals. What are they called? I don't know.
Signs.
The signals. I don't know. What they're called. I'm trying. I can't
What
think of it.
signals?
Omaha. You're always focused on what not to get involved with, what not to deal with, and when you're looking at that, it almost makes it hard to find anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And like
you talking about red flags.
Thank you. Red flags. Okay. Why I couldn't think of it. So
I mean, there is something to be said about looking for red flags, or acknowledging red flags when they present themselves.
Yes,
right.
Not being oblivious to them.
Definitely.
Because I think a lot of times we end up being oblivious to red flags.
Definitely.
When there's someone that checks some boxes that we have subconsciously aligned ourselves with from our youth.
For men and women.
Yeah, for men and women. It's like you see a person that when you first meet them, they check all these boxes.
Yeah.
You know, and then the red flags, he could be waving them right in front of you, but all you're focused on is the boxes that he checked.
And for men, the looks.
Yeah.
Her body.
Yep. For men, it's looks, it's body, it's our, will my friends be jealous?
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, does this validate me as
Sure.
because men tend to think that the type of woman they can get validates them as high value.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Huge.
And women, same thing. Women is the type of guy that I marry, how successful he is validates me as valuable, you know, so.
Right.
But back to what you were saying, red flags.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that it's really about, like, as a Christian and as a believer, it's about listening to God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can remember a time where I was ready to leave my wife, you know, and it was God that showed me things in her that I wasn't seeing because I was too focused on what I wasn't seeing, right? I was too focused on what I was seeing. It was negatives in my opinion, you know, and so it was God that was like shifting me in a way where,
and that's the other side of it, because we can be there. We can be there. We can be. Sure. There's a lot of times, and I think this is where a lot of relationships fall apart, is where you get so used to someone and so when you're around someone all the time, this is even in friendships too, you start to pick at every little thing that annoys you about them, and then that can be all you see. And then that starts to amplify itself every time you're around them, and then next thing you know, I'm not happy anymore.
Yeah, and also too, us not putting away these ideas that someone should complete you.
Right.
Like these Hallmark sayings.
Jerry Maguire.
God is the one, not them.
That's Jerry Maguire, though.
Yeah.
Right? You complete.
Right. We men do it too.
Yeah.
We you know,
that was Tom Cruise said that.
Right. Where it's like we feel that this person should be everything I want.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
Men and women, we both do this, and we've essentially taken these quotes, these little isms, and
Right.
if the person doesn't match up to that,
Yeah.
they're throwaway to us.
Yeah.
And then we're on to looking. Oh, in the meantime, unbeknownst to them, we're looking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think in like this manosphere space, they are kind of they're missing the mark with that too, because they tend to assume that it's only women that do that.
Yeah.
You know, they dismiss the fact that guys do that too. And I've heard them say this, you know, women, you ask women what they want in a man and the checklist is 100 things long, but you ask a man and it's 5 things. It's not.
Yeah.
Stop
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. You
Yeah.
know, it's 5 things that you want to sleep with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but you know, for a wife, for someone that you want, you know, as a life partner.
And that's not what they're talking about. And by the way,
most of these guys never want to get married.
It's not
Yeah.
about what they're not looking for wives.
No.
You
They're
know?
looking for multiple. They're looking for a harem.
Right.
That will do whatever they say most of the time.
Until they have a daughter, then they don't understand this at all. Where's all the good?
You were telling me about that. Look at Dame Dash and all of these dudes that are known for like their womanizing past. Now that they have daughters, T.I. You know, they want men need to stop
fellas.
this stuff, guys.
We
We got to start
gotta cut
respecting
this
women,
out,
guys.
Hero.
I think it's interesting, like when you look at, you know, how do we understand what it is to be with a man and a woman and come together in marriage and the point of it. And it's really like in Christ.
Mhm.
Because like when you look at the bride, you know, husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. But how does Christ love the church? You won't even know what that means if you're not submitting yourself to him, right?
Right.
So it's interesting, like when you look at even Israel as a nation and the sons, and I thought this was interesting, like every son is a greater dive into Christ, and seeing him for who he is, and or I could say a greater connection to him, right? Because you got Reuben, he was the first son. Reuben means to see, right? So you're seeing, right? What are you seeing? It's not about seeing physically. It's about seeing his structure, right? You're seeing his image, or you're seeing his character, right? And then you have hearing, right? So faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word. That's Simeon, right? And then you have Levi. Levi was the third, and it's about joining together. See, because through faith, now you start to come together with somebody, right? Right. Through hearing, right, you come together. So what happens is you start to see somebody's character, but then you get engaged with them, right? And you start to hear what's behind their character.
Right.
Right. And then it starts to join you together with them. And then the fourth son is Judah. And Judah is about laying down his life. Judah goes first, right?
Right.
And the first shall be last. So you have to lay down your life. And then there's no greater love than you lay down your life for your friend, right? So now you're learning, as you're joining together with him, you're realizing, I got to lay down my life for him. Right? I got to lay down my life for him. So now, and that's the whole point of the bride. I'm laying down the way my whole life and where I was to come together with a new family, right? I was in this family, now I'm in a new family. I'm laying down, and that's like that's a preparation of a bride. In the Hebrew religion, like you would be prepared for marriage, right? And it was literally like getting accustomed to the husband, right? And that's what's happening now. Like you look at the church, what's happening? We're learning our husband. We're learning Jesus, right? The more we lay down our life in faith, we're learning him, but we got to die, right? And then, so now what can I do? Because I die for him, right? Because he died for me, right? Now I can, it's not just about dying for him, at the same time I die for him, I'm actually dying for others, because I need him to be able to relate to others.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if any frustration we have, like with our wives, right? Any frustration we have, I gotta die in him, lay down everything I got, and take up his understanding, because he knows how to get through to her.
Mm-hmm.
And my relation to him causes me to be able to relate to her in a way I couldn't relate before.
Right.
That's love. You know, so, and that brings true justice in people's lives. So, like, because the next one is Dan, and Dan is about vindication. So not only is God going to vindicate you, now you have the ability to vindicate others, to set people free from, like, think about it. Why is there conflict and people got walls up? Because they're bound.
Mm-hmm.
They're bound. In what? Pride.
Right.
Right? They're bound because they think the way what they've gone through in their life and the things that they figured out works.
Right.
But it doesn't. That's why they got to lay it down.
Yep.
And the only way you're going to get them to lay that down is to have a greater love that they can receive. And that's relation. Then you can get past that wall and they open the door to you. You know what I mean? But before that, they think they got it all figured out. That's Revelations 3, where the church of Laodicea, what does he say to the church of, Jesus say to the church of Laodicea? He says, you're rich, but you're actually poor. Right? He says, I'm the door. He says, I'm standing at your door, knocking. Right?
Uh-huh.
If you open the door, I'll come in and eat with you. So there's a connection. Like, we have to get our wives to what? Open the door to us, but not through manipulation, through love.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The only reason why we got conflict is because there's misunderstandings.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's misinterpretations. And that has to do with what we've been through in our lives that has caused us to come up with these false constructs,
right,
and how things work that we got to lay down.
Yeah. And we start trying to use tactics that we think will get through to someone.
Right.
But it's usually through manipulation.
Exactly. And it's literally witchcraft,
right,
like, in a way. So you think about that, like, that's Jezebel.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jezebel means desired to be on high.
Mm-hmm.
It means it also connected to a false marriage.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's about infiltrating. Because Jezebel was a foreigner trying to infiltrate a kingdom to take it down.
Right.
Right? To overcome it.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. So that when we want to be right, when we want to be the king, when we want to be these things, I want to be, you better submit to me, woman,
right,
all those things. Like, when we hold on to that, that keeps us selfish.
Mm-hmm.
But when we lay that down, that's, if we want to lead, we gotta be led to the slaughter. Right? We gotta die. We gotta be the first. That's why Judah went first, because Judah died for his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Judah laid down his life. David, same thing. He laid down his life to fight Goliath for the whole country. Jesus was the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He laid down his life. Salvation is of Judah, right? All these things. So the point of Judah is it's the door that's open to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we have to walk in, and it's open because he laid down his life.
Right.
And it won't be open to others if we don't lay down our life. We're going to be stuck in our pride, and we got a wall. And that's why you always got that, like, combative stuff happening, and that's what you're seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All right, I'm gonna continue playing this video.
We say with feminists that you're going to end up dying alone, single, rejected. So you might as well get a couple of cats and become a cat lady. With men, the same thing is going to happen. The same thing, because every man is now being coached by a high value coach, and every man is now looking for a woman in the top 10%. We human beings, we've got different characteristics, different traits, different personalities. There's no percentage of people that is only attractive to others. There's no little pool of people that people are different. You look for different values, different morals, different aspects in different people. Okay? And if you look at a high value man, in many, many, many ways, as a woman with old school Christian values, a high value man is very unattractive, because high value men have value in terms of dollars, money. But the likelihood that that man is going to have low morals, a low character, not going to take responsibility for his actions, is what makes high value men unattractive to good, real women.
So does that make them high value or low value? Like, that's why the
Depends
whole
on your perspective.
That's what I'm saying. The whole concept of high value is subjective to what is your desire.
Yes. Well, it's incumbent on those guys to say be high value, because they need them to spend money on their stupid programs.
Right.
Their little coaching stuff.
We'll teach you how to be successful in business. Well, it's all a grift. It's a grift. I mean, we get the point of what she's saying. I want to kind of show a little bit of the. You can pull it down, John. I'm gonna look for something real quick. A little bit of what was going on with these guys. So where was it? So Fresh and Fit recently had a little feud with Auburn Preach. We were talking about that earlier. And then all of these people started coming out of the woodworks. I saw there was a video of one of the girls that they were trying to get to be a guest on the show. And basically Myron was DMing her like, if you don't sleep with me, you can't be on the show. You know what I mean? Like, he's leveraging the platform to be with women. You know what I mean? And then there was another girl who was on the show that he was trying to convince her to do like some nude sexual content on their Patreon. But so these people are starting to come out and expose them, and it's starting to go against everything that they say that they were claiming they are. And then there's a couple dudes that helped them build the channel to what it is now. And 2 days ago, they showed up in the middle of one of their live streams. I'm going to play a little clip right now. This is from the No Jumper channel, where they were kind of reading the news about this. This is the only thing I could find that was kind of explaining it. So you can pull this up, John.
The drama surrounding the Fresh and Fit podcast continues, and things still seem to be heating up. Last night during After Hours, a former Fresh and Fit podcast team member broke into the studio during their live stream, and guns were drawn. Fresh and Fit's podcast focuses mainly on female psychology and dating, among other categories. Former team members Ayande and Large made their way past security to ambush the live stream. In the behind-the-scenes video posted to YouTube, you can hear someone off camera say, "Ayande is here." Moments later, you see the girls realize that things are escalated and make their way onto the balcony to hide. From there, the situation seems to escalate. You can hear Myron say, "Don't do it," giving the guys a warning not to enter his apartment while having his gun drawn. In Miami, Stand Your Ground law states you have the right to defend yourself against any other party that you reasonably perceive to be imposing a threat of imminent bodily harm or death to you or another individual. In this case, the intruders attempted to invade the Fresh and Fit apartment to confront the host, accusing them of being frauds. During the verbal back and forth, Ayande brings up the drama between Fresh and Fit and YouTubers Abba and Preach just a few days ago. After seemingly moving on from the situation, the Fresh and
Isn't it pretty funny that we were just talking about this. Fresh and Fit is a Caribbean guy and an African guy.
Yep.
Barbados and Sudan, and Abba and Preach is a Caribbean guy and an African guy. Haitian,
and they're both neighboring countries too.
Yeah, Haiti and Ethiopia. Yeah.
Fit guys have since apologized to their subscribers, promising not to engage in more beef. But it does not seem like things will be getting back to normal for the Fresh and Fit podcast anytime soon. Both YouTube channels have released a statement of their own reacting to what happened during the live stream invasion. For those of you that think that this was actually staged, check our IG, Fresh Fit Podcast. Police were alerted, and this has got to be the dumbest criminal of all time. CSI also showed up. From their own YouTube channel, Authentic Alphas, Ayande and Large share their side of the story in a video titled The Lies of Fresh and Fit Podcast. They explain Myron Gaines pays for 99% of the male guests to attend the show, while Ayande was paid to book the women and states he's responsible for the show's success. In short, they claim the Fresh and Fit podcast paid to keep up fake persona to create content and monetize.
Fresh and Fit were not even big or like.
Okay, that's it. Just wanted to get the story of what just recently happened.
Yeah.
But this is the environment that you create when you are totally engaging in a culture of chaos, because that's what they
didn't really say what the beef was about though.
So the beef was literally just about Abba and Preach do reaction videos. If you ever seen their stuff, they put up content from the internet and they react to it. They give their opinion on it. So they actually reacted to a video of Abba on Fresh and Fit that someone sent to them and was like, what do you think about this? And it was when they were addressing the topic of prostitution and stuff like
paying
that.
for it,
Yeah. And when Abba was on the show, he was kind of pushing back against the idea. But they went deeper into the concept on their own reaction video, and then Fresh and Fit apparently like didn't like that, so then they did this whole thing where it's like, oh, now we gotta roast you,
we gotta box you.
Yeah, you guys are too dusty. Y'all ain't. We work harder than y'all. We're better than y'all. They started going crazy. Then they called
Pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they went further and said, because Preach, who is the Haitian one, they were like, "Oh, you probably married to a beluga whale or something, man. Like, let's see a picture
You
of your
value.
Yeah,
Your wife's not attractive.
Your wife's not attractive." Start talking about his wife. You know what I mean? So while they're doing this on their live stream, and while they're doing it, then Abba texts one of them. It was like, Preach said, "Let's box." You know what I mean? So they were like, if y'all want to do it, we can go to the ring and we can box y'all, blah, blah, blah. So then Preach was like, I'm going to be in Miami next week. Let's do it. I'll box both of y'all. You know what I mean? So then it went there. And then a lot of people were upset with the fact that Fresh and Fit took it there, making fun of his wife. You know what I mean? Because it's like everything y'all say y'all stand for, you contradicted in your reaction to this. Like, all they did was give a commentary on a video, and y'all went in like trying to totally destroy these dudes' characters. So then Abba and Preach started revealing some of the stuff that they never said about Fresh and Fit, like some of the stuff that they had heard from people, some of the DMs that they seen. And then other people started coming out of the woodworks talking about their behavior. Those two dudes that you saw, Allende and what's the other dude's name? I forget. The ones that broke into the apartment. They used to work for them.
Right.
So then they did a video on their channel talking about like their behavior and why they stopped working with them, and like how they didn't really speak on it because they didn't want to expose them, but these dudes are not what they say they are. You know what I mean? And so it just, everything is starting to crumble now for them. Like, they had to do a whole apology video. Like I said, they did a 5-hour long live stream last night trying to like Fresh and Fit. They trying to like air out everything, trying to, tell their fan base, like they had no guests on there. It was just them two just talking about everything. Myron told everybody his name's not even Myron. He told everybody his real name and that he used to work for the FBI, which I thought was peculiar.
Right.
But
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Faraz something.
Yeah. It's like this, because you know how psyops work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I didn't think of that part.
It's just
creating more division.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Especially in the black community, because the thing is, like, there's a
who
whole...
would give them the money to pay for Kevin Samuels? This guy's not coming on there.
Yes.
Right.
And think about all their equipment. Like, they have a huge setup, dude.
Yeah.
And they had an initial and the way he told the story, because I watched the video where he talked about the FBI thing, and the way he told the story was like, once we built the studio and put all the money into the studio, I had to leave my job at the FBI. And it was just like, okay, peculiar. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not alleging anything, but it's just peculiar.
The conspiracy theorist in you.
The conspiracy theory in me is like, okay.
Yeah, that does make sense though, because I heard of them through the whole Kevin Samuels.
That's how I became aware of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they seem to grow very quickly.
Yeah. It was like absurd. And I know they were using, because the fact that they're in Miami and they have access to, but they were paying these women to be on the show. They're paying these dude guests, like they seem to have access to a lot of capital for two dudes that just had jobs. You know what I mean? Right. So it was like, it's weird. It's weird. But bottom line is like they totally, because their content at first, like they were at first just a dating channel and a fitness channel. That's where Fresh and Fit comes from. It was dating, coaching, and fitness, right? It wasn't until they started this podcast, which really was an extension of that at first. And then they started doing the night shows where they would bring all the chicks in. That's when the shit exploded.
Yeah.
And
because men were tuning into it.
Yeah. And at first it was like a lot of porn stars, strippers. That's what their content was. They're interviewing them and you know, dismantling their ideas of what their value was, you know. Just the Kevin Samuels concept taken to younger women. Because Kevin Samuels seems to talk to mostly women in their 30s who spent their 20s sleeping with a lot of dudes, probably got a couple kids, and now they want to find a husband. So he has to tell them why they can't find the husband that they think they deserve. That's Kevin Samuels.
Yep.
So these dudes are attacking the ones who are in their 20s doing what those girls were doing and telling them why they're stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically what their whole brand is.
You're stupid, but can I sleep with you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But at the same time, they're leveraging the fact that these girls are young and hot and guys want to, you know, sleep with them and they want to sleep with them. And it plays into the idea of like, guys who watch that show are guys that look at these women and say, these are girls I could never get, so I want to watch them get torn down. You know, and that's where their bread and butter was made. So when you look at it now, all the chaos that is ensuing is this is the beast that you were feeding the whole time. Now it's just coming to eat. You know what I mean? Now it's coming back. Like you're feeding this chaos. You're feeding this all of this griminess. Like all the moves they were making, and you're finding out behind the scenes, like all the things they were doing. It was like just this thirst for attention and growing their channel at all costs and not caring about who they stepped on, you know what I mean? And when you live in that way, dudes are going to show up and kick your door in. You know what I mean? Like, that's where that leads to.
You live by the sword?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think believers have to do, men of God have to do, you know, to offset this, you know?
I think we have to really seek for understanding of how to be leaders of our families.
Yeah.
Like we've said this from day one on this podcast. We got to learn how to be men, how to be leaders, how to be fathers, how to be husbands. And that's the only thing that's going to stop this stuff. That's the only thing that's going to stop this pendulum from going back and forth. And it's swinging further every time.
I was going to say the only one that can break the pendulum is pointing them back to something that can replace the pendulum.
Yeah.
And that's, you got to point back to God.
You gotta show another. You have to give the alternative culture that cures this thing. That doesn't just keep making it worse and worse.
What's held up so long?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go back to that. Like,
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There's a foundation there that's stood the test of time.
What's the only thing that...
What's the truth?
The only truth.
Because
it all points back.
You tear down all of these ideas that they think that they have. You tear all that away. Take away all technology. Take away all modern conveniences. And all of this stuff that they think all of these systems that they've put all this stock into goes away. And what's left?
And it gets crumbled so quickly.
Look at it now. Like these dudes are scrambling now.
Right.
You have to have the truth. Because the truth shines the true structure, you know. But I think, like you were saying, it's about culture. And I think it's like, okay, culture comes from cultivation, and cultivation comes from husbanding. You know what I mean? Husbanding. That's what husband comes from. It's a you're a cultivator, right? So, husbandmen. So we have to take rest in our husbandmen. You know, it's funny because in the beginning there was a garden, got kicked out the garden. You know, garden was about something that was perfectly husband to the point where you had everything you needed.
Right. Well, what does husband mean, right?
Yeah.
Husband is essentially farmer or
Yeah.
one who works the land. You know what I mean? We
Right.
were talking about this before. It's about learning how to steward over that land, so that is the foundation of everything. That's why there's so many parables about farming in the Bible, because so many things are related to stewarding and cultivating something.
Right. In Isaiah 60, we were talking about this at church, is when there's a prophecy that says that Behula will be the name of the land.
Mhm.
And Behula means to join together as marriage. And it also means to rule over the land. So there's a connection to that with the land, and it's you have to first conquer the land, right? And that's with the sword,
right?
So what's our land? It's our heart, right? Jesus, he talked about sowing the seed into our heart. He explained all this, right? Our heart is the soil. Why doesn't it produce fruit? Because we're worried about other things, right? It's stony, or the weeds are choking it out, cares of the world, worrying about all these things. So he's teaching us how to do what he does. He stewards. And that's why it's all about rest.
Yeah.
Rest is the number 7, right? So the 7, the sword, the word of the Spirit, what does it do? It cuts into your heart, divides you, so you recognize, oh, I need him. And then you can come into him and lay down your life. So when you come into him, where are you coming into? You're coming into the garden, where you got everything you need.
Right.
But we're in lack all the time, because we're like, we're like the young lions that suffer lack, because they got to learn how to catch that prey.
Right.
And we've been talking about this a lot. Like, so the lamb and the lion. The lion has to lay down its life. The lion has to catch the prey. The lion catches the prey as the lamb lays down his life. Right? It's the same thing.
Right.
It's the meal.
Right.
So taste and see that the Lord is good.
Circle of life.
Right. And so how do we do? It starts with you.
Come on, man.
It starts with whoever is gonna be first.
Right.
Whoever is gonna say, you know what, I'm not gonna be right here.
Yeah. I'm
gonna lay down my life for you, because I don't know how to get through. Right. Even though, like, I might be right, the greater thing is love. You know, the greater thing is love. It's not about being right.
Yeah.
The greatest thing is love. And how do I know how to love somebody when I don't know? Because if you don't got the power to overcome their fear that they're holding on to, that's keeping them in the mentality that they have, then you need a better love.
Right.
You need a perfected love.
Yeah, and the only way you understand that better love is a deeper relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's that perfection.
Right.
You know what I mean, he's that garden.
Yeah.
That garden is everything you need.
Right. Yeah, and I think that what we've done is we've allowed the garden to be overgrown with weeds, and now we're seeing, we're watching.
Our garden.
I'm talking about, all of our gardens.
Yeah,
which becomes the whole of another garden. You know what I mean? That becomes the farm. You know what I mean? So now the land is taken over by the wild beasts because we haven't been stewards.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And when we watch the ManosFEAR emerge in that wild, that's what you're seeing. Little fires break out here and there. You know what I mean?
And that's a result of broken homes, broken lives, broken belief system. You know, we haven't really taught. You and I talk about this. We haven't really. Our elders. This is what we have to change our culture.
Yep.
Our elders haven't sat us down, because if we only hear this kind of thing from your mom and your dad, you're going to assume that your mom and your dad don't want you to do anything.
Right.
But if you hear it communally, where everybody's saying the same thing, it's going to make sense. And I think a lot of times parents, we don't allow the people that are around us to help us.
Yeah.
maybe you're struggling with a child, or you're struggling with a young person's attitude, but bring it to the trusted members of the family and say, hey, listen, I would like your input here. Because a lot of times we're fearful that people are going to judge us the way our kids are being raised. But if you have a young girl or young boy struggling with authority, because that's going to ultimately lead to making bad decisions.
Right.
But sometimes it's good to kind of have someone step in and be like, hey, Jamie, listen, Sophia. Or you see something, you step in and say, hey, Soph, your dad, this is where your dad is coming from, or whatever it is. A lot of time our attitude is like, that ain't my problem.
Exactly, but that's where we've gone wrong. That's where we've allowed the weeds to grow.
It's the hypocrisy.
Right. That's where we don't steward.
Right.
That's where we don't steward. We don't create that culture, that community where the wild beasts can't come in because the land is so guarded. You know what I mean? And it's like we've been passed down this giant acreage from our ancestors, but we look at it and it's so dilapidated and torn down that we're just like, man, I don't want to deal with that. But we have to start
and
working that garden.
Why did it get that way? It's because of the hypocrisy,
neglect,
because of the
neglect,
and because of the
selfishness, corruption. Right. The idea that like I just need to worry about me.
Right. How many of us, have looked to our fathers and be like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In certain ways.
Yeah. I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be like that. I don't want
to make those mistakes. Yeah.
Or like, I don't believe in marriage.
Yeah.
I don't believe in these things.
Marriage isn't that what Nick Cannon was saying last week?
Especially someone who doesn't explain how they failed, because they're embarrassed or they don't want you to think that they failed, so they go around it. So you wouldn't know. How would you know? The mistakes not to make.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people ultimately, it's because of ego, you're embarrassed or whatever it is.
I don't even think it's about the mistakes. But I get what you're saying. But I'm just saying, like, if we don't even have to focus on the mistakes because we kind of see them. Like,
no, but what I mean is this. Okay, if you're not doing this to condemn, but if you can sit down with somebody and say, like, I told Jamie this story. My dad went to Venezuela because of a girl, right? Now, I'm saying now, as a grown man, 40 years old, my dad comes to me and says, son, I see what you're doing.
See you messing with these Venezuelans.
I see what you're doing, and I understand it because that's the flesh.
Right.
But look what your dad did.
You and Dylan was fresh and fit.
Imagine. I'm not from the city.
No, I'm just joking.
I can pull it off. But I'm just saying, like, imagine if I would say that, like, imagine if my dad, and it's not to condemn, but it's to say, son, what you're going through, I went through. You know what I mean? And you're heading down a trap that I fell in.
Right.
And I'm only trying to show you so you don't go there.
Right.
Because when you tell me, don't do that, it seems like you're trying to restrict me. You don't understand. You know what I mean?
If I had a son, I'm definitely doing that. I mean, I'm gonna have an approach with my daughters too, but I can 100% point to the mistakes I made in a way that makes sense. Like, you're doing it this way, but when I was 17, 18, we had a thing called AOL chat rooms.
Right.
And let me explain to you
That's what I
where
mean.
I was at mentally and why I was seeking validation.
And why that path was wrong.
Right. And why and what that led to and what type of damage it did to me and how I had to counter all of that in my marriage so I don't continue those mistakes.
So what I'm saying is the details do matter.
Right.
Because you could put that kid. Now, that doesn't guarantee that the kid is not going to do that because they're a human being.
But when they're faced with those choices, now they have a reference point to say, wait, my dad did tell me about this. Maybe that's something,
And it's not just do it because I said.
Yeah.
There is a love behind it. There's an explanation behind it.
Right.
Of why.
Right. And I often, because I would try to come, but I would get just don't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we're in a culture where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to fit in. I don't fit in with this culture. I don't fit in with that culture.
And you can easily dismantle the just don't do it because you're like, yeah, but you don't know what you're talking about all the time.
Well, I mean, I didn't say.
No, I'm saying in your mind, you think that. So when
I'm gonna do behind your back then,
right? Yeah. Because you don't know what you're doing all the time. Right. So why am I gonna listen to you? You know
and I think that's why it's so important for parents and elders to say, no, I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there, and I've made those mistakes. You don't have to give them the details per se, but at least give them enough to say, what you're doing, I did, and I ended up here.
Right.
And I know plenty of other people who did that. I'm trying to save you that. You know what I mean? And I think that's where sometimes we don't really talk to kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
we avoid it.
Your daughters, I'm around them a lot.
Yeah.
There might be certain things that they hear from you, but if I reinforce it,
right?
If I reinforce it, like
it makes it seem like, oh, it's not just dad trying to control me. This is really
versus
matters.
if I did like.
That ain't my kids.
Over there. I don't know. If I do that,
look at what Elise and Ari are doing.
Right. If I do that, if I do that versus sitting down and be like, you know, taking that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not feeling like that ain't my problem.
Right.
If I
but
see
what are we doing? We're creating a culture. We're creating a community.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when I say that I think sharing those details without being graphic, you know what I mean? Being polite, but letting them know. Like I often told you, my family, when Liz was a young lady, they saw Liz and they made some claims on her.
Yeah.
And they came back and told my mother. No one stopped to take her out of that situation.
Yeah.
If I come to you and I say, hey, listen, I saw Lise in this situation, your next question would be like, and why didn't you bring her?
Right.
You should be
so
more
wait
mad
a minute. You left her there?
Yes.
And you're coming to tell me?
Yes.
You know, that's kind of like a situation we saw just happen, and it was like, no, you're only telling me to stir up some stuff.
That's
you're
what
not
it is.
telling me because you're really concerned.
And that's what I'm saying.
I mean?
We've lost this thing where as a community, you know, we should be able to help build one another. You know what I mean? Tell us, young lady, you know, I see you like this guy and you're 6'2" and Jordans and swag and the tattoos and the earrings and all the stuff. But let me tell you what these kind of guys are like. You know what I mean? The same thing with the young boys. Hey, I see you chasing these kind of girls because this is what everybody says. Let me tell you what this is like, where you're going to end up.
Right.
You know?
Or maybe you can just talk to them and ask them.
Hey, why do you like this?
You know?
Yeah. That's how you do it.
And then you can get to
the bottom,
the true meaning,
the
of
root.
Why do you want this?
You know?
Yeah.
Why do you want this?
That's the church.
I asked myself that. I remember when I was really filling out that dating profile.
Yeah.
And I was like, what kind of girl do I want? And I was thinking about like motherhood and stuff like that. And like, do I want a girl that's looking really good, or do I want a girl that has those values to belief system, a good wife, good mother, you know, loving, you know, all those things. And I was like, okay, I gotta slow down, because when you're given that amount of choice, you know what's gonna happen,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know?
And I think we've been programmed, and a lot of it is through movies, media, you know, even music. Yeah, definitely music.
Yeah, for us it was the video girls of the 90s.
Yes, absolutely. And growing up in high school culture, you know, because high school culture has gone unchecked for a long time. Teachers, they can't monitor what these kids are doing. It's just a cesspool for bad ideas and bad social dynamics.
Behavior.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So we've got programmed by that a lot growing up, and a lot of the things that we are trying to counter now are the things that we fell into, the traps that we fell into from those years in our lives. And I think we have to do a better job of raising our kids to not fall for those things and understand why it's important. Because I think for us, like, we grew up in I think especially growing up in the 80s, you know, there's a reason why the latchkey kids, you know, we were kind of on our own a lot, you know. So there really was no guidance and shaping in a lot of areas. And I think that generation probably more than others, because that was like the first time both parents were working a lot.
And there was a push for money.
Yeah, and most people wanted to live in better neighborhoods, so they were working to afford these houses that were really out of their means. And you end up with a lot of divorces during that time, and a lot of kids were on their own. So we were raised by TV. We were raised by Saved by the Bell, and, you know, these shows that just showed like Kelly Kapowski and Zach Morris, and you think that that's what you do in high school. You know what I mean? So then when you get to high school, you want your own Kelly Kapowski. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you start to, you have these desires that you start to act out, and you want to function in those things that you don't know what they mean. And you even see this in church, like, you know, got the pastor, all these, like, well, mostly the pastor in
Right.
most churches. But like when you look at the fivefold ministry, you got apostle, prophet, evangelist, teacher, pastor. When you're looking at this, it's like, well, what does that mean? What is it to be this? What is it to be that? And a lot of times it becomes like,
well, Kenneth Copeland and you know,
well, what I'm saying is that it becomes like something to live up to,
right, right.
When it's
where
really
it's like an image of the suit and the thing. And remember, well, you were playing a video earlier, and a guy was talking, and I started like mocking the way he was talking because it was like so.
And the Lord,
you know what I mean? It was like. That's the image of what you do when you're preaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's doing a caricature.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And now
so
it's
you're
the
living
opposite.
up. Yeah, you're living up to this is a preacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it becomes like, you're playing a role,
right?
Instead of actually becoming that role. Becoming now, see, because the only reason why it's backwards, because it's like what the world does is shows us to be something so we can be something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To
but
be
then-
something so we can feel like we're something.
But then the next generation rebels against that, like you're saying, and then there's the culture of, well, I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to be the tattooed guy who's up there and like,
and you know too, it's like just popped in my mind. It's not being afraid to be made fun of.
right.
You know, I think that we're so fearful of being that person. I hope my cousin's watching. I'll talk about him. Right when Sophia was born, I didn't get a car yet. And I was like, I needed a car.
Yeah.
And I didn't want a car payment. I was like, I'm going to get a car. So I did my research. What's a safe car for kids?
Mm-hmm.
And the minivan popped
Minivan,
up,
baby.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but you guys already know how many people feel about minivans.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I did the research. I found one. Great price, private sale, went and I bought it. He decided to make fun of me.
Mm-hmm.
But what he didn't know was I could care less because I was out of that stage of my life, you know? So I turned it back on him, started making fun of him.
Right.
And it got so awkward because he's like, because again, I'm telling you, people, when they're making fun of you, it's really fear in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're
Yeah.
trying to,
Right.
how come you're not like me?
They want you to be to be beholden to the things that they're beholden to.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
well, I care about these things. You should too,
Yeah.
because otherwise it makes me insecure that you don't care,
Right.
and I want you to care.
Yeah, driving a safe vehicle
Right.
with, for my child.
Right.
What an idiot,
Yeah,
right? No.
right, right.
So it's like I started doing that,
Yeah.
and then he left it alone. But it's just like so funny that I think we're so afraid of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So part of that for men, for young men, is if we don't pull the girls, we don't get the girls, you're corny.
Yeah.
How many girls did you get? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for the girls, if you don't get the guys taking you out to dinner and spending money on you, you're not beautiful.
I sent you a video once of a dude talking about lunchroom culture.
Yes.
And how that shaped like 10 years of his life.
It did.
And
It
totally
did.
ruined him because
Right.
when he was a nerd, he was into anime, into
Right.
comic books, but once he got to that lunchroom in high school and he was invited to sit at a certain table, and then the conversation became about girls and how come he didn't have no girls.
Yes.
Now all of a sudden there was an insecurity built in him where I got to prove myself to these guys, and then that became his whole life.
Yeah.
And it's like that, something that simple, where it's like this shift can happen in you, where it's like I got to prove myself.
Yeah.
And you don't even know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
And that's the point of the questions.
Yeah.
Because that's what good stewardship is.
Mhm.
You know, like you can see what something's going on and then you can ask about it
Right.
because then you're like, what are you doing? You're weeding. You
Yeah.
know, you're like you're weeding the heart.
Right.
Why do you feel that you have to do these things?
Yeah.
You know, what's the reason? And now you can, that's not true. You don't have to.
Yeah.
That's what you feel like because they're pressuring you, but they're really afraid.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to prove themselves, you know, and you don't have to prove yourselves because what do you have to prove? Like you can, and that's all connected to identity.
Right.
You know, and how we identify in the world and how we relate. And it creates these false identities and these false constructs. And then you we look at our parents or we look at people that we're supposed to look up to, you know, and then we're like, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to, it's not that we totally don't want to be like anything that our parents are, because there's redeemable stuff, obviously, but you're just looking at it like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do that. But that causes you to, that's like a law in your life.
Right.
You hold yourself to not being like that, and actually keeps you from being who you need to be.
Right. But if you grow up understanding why it's important to honor your mother and father, then that idea doesn't even begin to take hold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another area where we've kind of we've neglected that, even that.
Yeah.
And these are why those things are so important. That's why it's written there.
Yeah.
But we've neglected those things, so we allow the rebellious child to become like, it just keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because it's like, I don't want to be like that, but you have to go to God to say, how do I be? You know,
Right.
what is, in him I move, I live, and I have my being. How
Right.
can I be?
Right.
What is, so what I'm saying is that if that's your father, then how do I, now I'm a father, how do I function in that role?
Yeah.
How do I function as being a man? How do I function as being a pastor?
Right.
How do I function as being a son?
What do you guys? So from a fatherhood, we all are dads now. What do you think you guys? And it's for everybody, but are doing different than your dad when it comes to your children?
Well, it's easy for us. I think, like our dad.
Yeah, your dad.
I'm sorry, it's easy for us, because our dad was more of the like. He was so concerned with being cool and like being cool with us that there was a lot of things that, and like, don't get me wrong, like my dad did a great job of like teaching and and challenging us in a lot of ways to be men, but there was a lot of things that he just didn't care about.
Okay.
Which was like values with women,
So you didn't learn that from him?
Nothing at all.
Okay.
Like I remember my dad's first conversation with us was like, listen, I know your little thing gonna get hard, and you gonna want to put it somewhere. That's literally what he said. You gonna want to put it somewhere. Just make sure you wear a condom. You know what I mean? Like that was the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was no sense of responsibility attached to it. The responsibility was don't get no one pregnant.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so you guys were like, his friends, and he treated. This is what I noticed. Like, you guys were like adults. Like, you didn't hide anything.
He pushed us to be responsible.
I don't know this. I don't know. My dad is not like that. At all.
Yeah.
So
Of
I don't know
course,
this
of
world.
course.
Yeah.
Like my dad did push us to be. He was big on responsibility and being responsible in a lot of other ways.
Got it.
But in that way, he just didn't care. You know what I mean? And then some other ways too. Like my dad would let us drink and gave us weed. You know what I'm saying? So,
Gave me too.
So it was like, but so in those ways, it's like, I know you can't like be that loose. You know what I mean? Like you have to take up your role. In like there is a sense of like, you can't just be this stoic, I'll never be vulnerable to you and show you who I am.
Yep.
But
that's
because
my dad.
Right. That's the thing. That's the exact opposite, where it's like, I can't connect with you.
But why? But why did he do that? Because he came from that.
He came from that. Because
He came
his
from-
dad,
So he
his
rebelled-
dad was
he
your
rebelled
dad.
from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His dad was a reverend. His dad was your dad. Where it was like,
He was a PK.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
And like I remember them sitting down when my mom got pregnant with Jake. It was like, no, y'all got to get married. You know what I mean? Because
the optics.
You
Okay, got it.
know what I'm saying? And
So my dad was like, I don't want to be like that.
right.
Okay.
See, and that just and like what we were talking about with the whole
ManosFEAR.
red pill,
Yeah.
ManosFEAR, like it's just swings one way
Yeah,
to the other.
right.
Yeah.
Because he was the far opposite of structure and order and church and those things.
Yeah.
And
he was in the music world too. So that,
right. But even that was I think even his push to be in that was in a rebellion of what his father was. You know what I'm saying? Even though he loved his dad, he totally respected his dad and honored his dad, but psychologically, he tried to be the opposite. You know,
Okay.
Him and his brother, like you know, when their parents weren't there, they were having acid parties in the house. You know what I mean? Like they were full on, like you know,
damn.
You know, their room was covered in black light paint. Like I remember we would go to my grandma's house because my grandma watched us a lot when we were kids, and we would go in my dad and my uncle's old room, and you would see like. Back in the you talking about the 70s, right? So they would have these high school parties where I guess they would like listen to music and smoke weed and stuff. But they had like girls' footprints on the ceilings from when they would dip girls' feet in paint and like make them walk on the ceiling. Like,
oh my god, psychedelic.
Yeah,
stuff.
psychedelic stuff. But so like that was my dad. You know, like that was his rebelliousness against what his father was. So his parenting approach still had like the foundational print. Like my dad used to make us read the Bible. You know, he used to have church with us in it when we would visit with him, like where he would break down scriptures and stuff like that. So there was still like a lot of that stuff there, but it was always from
but
the
he still
angle.
wanted to do his own thing.
Exactly. It was from the angle of I want to do it my way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah. And for you?
Same. Well, not same as that, but similar to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was all church growing up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sunday, Tuesday.
I remember
Thursday.
our club days. Stan would come home, you know, a little tipsy, and Mr. Golden would get so mad. You're drinking the devil's juice.
You're out there drinking the devil's juice.
That was the pastor?
Elder.
An elder.
Okay.
And the church that they went to was a very strict, like you're not supposed to go to the
interpretation of
movies. You're not
Christianity,
supposed to You're not supposed to engage in any worldly stuff.
No
denominationalism.
Dance.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But my parents they let me go to a few things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But did they talk to you about like?
Not. It was only do it because I said so and because the Bible said so.
Right.
But not here's why.
Right.
And that's the thing too with
I was gonna ask you
like
too,
we never.
You had your stepdad.
Yes.
Okay.
But you know, he raised me. I never really knew my father like that.
Okay. Did he talk to you about this stuff or?
No, not really.
Okay.
Like it was pretty loose in my house. Like they remember.
Yeah.
Because he worked a lot.
Okay.
Too, you know, and when he got home, he was tired. So it was like, you know,
just be quiet.
You know what's crazy about this?
What?
I have never met a guy who said his dad sat him down and talked to him, like really had, like I'm talking about a believer, by the way, because I don't expect this from, you know, but to really talk to him about what manhood and ushering from boyhood to manhood, the responsibility of a man and husbandhood is.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Even my own dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad gave me principles and godly principles, but to explain it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I don't think they could.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, the same thing with my father too.
Our
Like,
dad did it, but in his own way.
Yeah. But never like, because he didn't even agree with husbandhood. You know what I mean? Like,
well, he wasn't participating in it.
Yeah.
Either,
I mean, he couldn't look like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, how, with all that said, how do we as men, right? Because if we're answering these, we have to answer. We have to give a solution to this, right? What is our insight now, like when it comes to our children?
Yeah, I mean, what we've been saying, like I think that there has to be a full-on understanding of everything that you're being shown, everything that you're being pushed about what dating is, about what a boyfriend is, and it's all lies.
Yes,
it's all just a way to get you in a place of damage and get you in a place of hurt. Like we have to be able to communicate that, and
we can't just say that's nonsense.
Right? We have to be able to communicate that and show them where that leads. And there's millions of examples.
That's what has happened. See, when they said, when the elders at the time said, hip hop, this is just crap. Turn that off.
Right.
But that explains to us how it's attaching to our spirit.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Jesus said it. You can't cast out a spirit and then not feel it.
Right.
So it's really about feeling it. Right? If you are prideful, or if you think something is a certain way, and this is what happens to a lot of kids who are very insulated, right? I hear this a lot from a lot of Christian kids. They're insulated, homeschooled, and they go off to college, and then their whole world crumbles.
Or a lot of those like
It's
really
freaky dicky.
Or a lot of those really strict Pentecostal families, a lot of Puerto Rican families where it's like, especially for the daughters are never allowed to go anywhere. They're never allowed to wear. It's like once they see a taste of freedom, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm saying is that like it's about they've already been getting hit, right? These people are like insulated. They're not going to school.
Yeah.
Like so, but yeah, you going to the church, but then you're going into the outside world, but you're getting hit by warfare, right? And you go to college and they dismantling everything you think about.
Right.
Right. So now you're getting what you thought is getting brought down because you didn't have anything to really keep it strong. And I think that's the key. Like you were saying, like they say, don't do this, or they'll even teaching, but you have to have love.
Yeah.
You know, and love is the foundation because you have to have confrontation.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you have that confrontation, that's the warfare. That's the testing.
Right.
You know? And so we as parents, we can't insulate our kids. We have to allow them to go into the world. Like my kids see stuff like even now they're young, 8, 9, but they see like gay stuff and this and that, and I'm like, and them pushing it, you know, and I tell them this is why, this is what's going on, and I ask them questions about it, right? How do you feel about it? What do you, and then speak to them in a way where, you know, bringing it back to what God is doing, you know, and how I've experienced it. But there has to be a fight. And the fight is in love. It's always in love. It's not against people.
No.
Yeah.
You know, it's against the thing that wants to rule over people.
Right.
You know, because what gets us, like, and I started this with, you got to feel it. Why? Because when you crumble, right, something's going to come up in there. Right?
Yep.
When it falls, when those walls come down, something's going to try to come up in there.
Right.
And if you don't, it's okay for the walls to come down.
What do they say? You create a vacuum for something else to take its place.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
It comes, when you clean something out, but then if you don't fill it with the Holy Spirit, right? There's that spirit that was kicked out is going to come back with 7 spirits greater than itself, right? And it's 7. It's a sword, right? Sword of the Spirit.
Right. That's the pendulum swinging even further the other way.
Yeah. So every time we get hit, you know, I think as parents I think we have to learn, of course, ourselves. You can't stop trying to be what you don't know how to be. Stop trying to be a father when you don't know how to be a father. Be a father in what you know that you know through faith. Anything out, like if you don't know how to deal with the situation, that's warfare. And when you take your refuge in God, He's going to give you the grasping of how to deal with that. You know, but our anxiety, oh my gosh, my kids are getting attacked. Oh, they're doing stuff in school. No,
Right.
It's warfare. He's going to give us the ability to combat it. So we put our trust in God. And I think more than anything else, this is how we lead, is by being led, you know, by dying.
Right.
Because every time we're confronted with the enemy, we don't got to feel like we got to do something that we don't know how to do. No, we run away into him. It's okay to run away sometimes. When you overcome by the enemy and you don't got, like, when you don't got the forces to fight, you know, David ran away.
Right.
When he was overcome, he ran away and regrouped and went back.
And then you go back when you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what this is, though. Like, I think the church needs to realize that these young people are essentially crying out for wisdom, for spiritual wisdom.
There's a void.
You know?
There's a void that needs to be filled. And if we don't fill it, they're going to find something to fill it.
Because how did we get here?
Yeah.
It's because of the failing of the generation before.
Yep.
How did we get here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The land is overgrown.
Yeah.
No one's been tending to it. Are we going to do it, or are we going to put it off to the next generation?
Right.
Are we? What I say we do
Yep.
is pick up a damn shovel and get to work.
Get to work.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we are the church, so you like even the concept of going to a building. No, it starts with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Your home.
Starts with your home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it builds out.
Churches to come together
Right.
and meet
Right.
so that we can come up with strategies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's to be church is about coming together so that we can be strengthened.
Right. And to
You
be
know?
on one accord as a body, as a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's to add something to it. I realized that the generations before, they did their best. We're not judging them.
Yeah.
But we have to look at where we came from,
Right.
what happened. But part of it too was fear of being judged and embarrassed. You know what I mean? So instead of telling or really giving your kids information, you would just tell them not to do it because it's more or less like, don't embarrass me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it would come from.
And that's And you said it was based off of fear.
Yeah.
So you're already starting in a flawed place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love cast out.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, don't do this. You're going to embarrass me.
Yep.
I embarrassed them a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's where you lose people.
Right.
When you
right.
just make it about that.
Because then you're gonna have two personalities.
Yeah.
You're gonna have one that you have in the around
the
them.
one you project, the avatar, you project the people, and then, but you know,
Yeah, and listen, my dad did an awesome job. I love him. He gave me so much, but I realized something about him. Like, he was very fearful of people judging him. You know what I mean? He was very fearful of that. But that came because of Catholicism.
Yep.
How it was. Because I noticed something about, he didn't like to joke around with me, but he joked around with everybody else. You know what I mean?
Right. He needed you to see him one way.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like he felt if he was vulnerable with you in any way,
Right.
then he would lose respect from you.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that was a fear that he probably
I
had.
feared that. And it took me some time to essentially forgive him for that and be like, okay. You know.
Yeah, because it's not like he intentionally was like that.
No.
Yeah, he was trying to do his best.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's because of him and because of my mother that I did restrain. And I was like, okay, this is not, I've told you plenty of stories. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
And I think this whole red pill thing is the brokenness of the home, communities, but the father and the mother really raising and being part of that child's life. You know what I mean? It leads these young boys and these young girls to go out seeking for wisdom from a Kevin Samuel and this guy. And he's been divorced twice, but he seems like a genius because he's yelling at women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's false constructs.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's false image. Like, you can look at that guy, Kevin Samuel, and you can see what he's projecting forth, right? He's projecting forth this image that he wants you to buy into.
Right.
It's one thing to put forth an image, but you got to get people to buy into it. You know, that's the other part.
And you see him constantly getting better at projecting it, because when you watch his early stuff, you ever see his early
It was
stuff?
about cologne and shoes.
No, but I'm saying the way he looked.
Right.
He didn't look as put together as he does now.
No.
You know what I mean? So this is something that he crafted as well. Like that's one of the things that people don't understand is like what you project to the public is something you can craft.
Right.
It's something you don't. It's not like this is just who you are. Like you can get better at being this thing. You know what I mean?
Well, isn't that what clothes are about? You know?
Yeah. Clothes, tattoos, the whole thing. Like you see people that constantly are crafting their
Johnny
image.
Depp. He's all his name ring.
All his rings.
He's bedazzled. He really thinks he's Jack Sparrow.
Right.
You're putting on your armor.
Yeah.
That you.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. This is your uniform. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my barrier from the world.
Right.
You know.
Right. My avatar. That's why I keep saying avatar, because when you think about it, like anytime you look at that Black Mirror episode we were talking about, with the dude from Get Out. So he's riding the bike. They're riding the bikes, and when you ride the bike, you pick the avatar that rides the bike on the screen. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And think about all these games that the kids play, Roblox. Like I watch them, they're obsessed with the clothing and the style of the avatar because that's the avatar that's in the game that everyone sees. So you get to have control over what everything that avatar is because it represents you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the same thing we do with our image every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For young men and women, and it's a trap.
Yeah. It is.
You know.
Yeah, because we're supposed to be
In his
representatives,
image.
right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be ambassadors, representatives of the kingdom.
Yep.
But when we're so in fear of how we're representing ourselves, how can we be his representatives?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's leave it
So
there.
let's not cut her hair. Let's not wear.
I mean, to be honest with you, like all of that stuff plays in. You know, like all of that stuff.
Yeah, man.
I think about that a lot of times where it's like, you know, when you watch a fashion show, that's the ultimate manifestation.
Ridiculous.
You know what I mean? But there's levels to it, right? So you watch one of these high-end fashion shows and you're like, yo, that is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But how much more ridiculous it is than us caring about like what we wear and what type of image we put out there and you know our haircut and our you know what I mean, like all of that stuff. We're doing it, just not to that extreme,
right?
You know, so
insecurities.
You know, it talks about Jesus. Jesus wasn't this guy that just looked so suave and you know what I mean.
He was not very attractive according to them.
Right, like he wouldn't catch your eye.
He wasn't a white man either.
Oh, dude,
speak on it, Moan.
That's what I wanted to show y'all this before we get out of here, man.
It was supposed to be a quick one.
I know
it's about to be 3 hours.
I know. No, it's not. No, it's not.
It kind of is.
We're gonna wrap up in a second, but I just want to pull up something real quick because this was crazy. So, John, pull this up. I saw this on Marcus Rogers' page.
There will be fires. There will be earthquakes. Talks about the seventh seal being broken when these things happen. Now, most people think that is the end times. No, this is not the end times. It's the end of the old world because I am here now.
So you said Jesus wasn't white, right? This guy says he's Jesus.
He says he's Jesus?
He says he's Jesus coming back.
Because he's here now.
Now we're in the new world where your Messiah will walk the earth with you. And change will happen.
So apparently
As
Jesus is a WWE wrestler
coming down,
with a headband.
Look at his his hair is all wet.
See, Jesus got holy eyes of fire. You just got bags, paper bags.
Times, but when I say it's end times, it doesn't mean that the world is going to end. It's just that we're going into a new age. And the new age is you're going to live by my rules. You're going to live by my laws, which is operating in rightness. And if you choose to go against me, which is not believing in me, then unfortunately you will perish. This is not a difficult thing, especially if you're a Christian. You should be reading your Bible scripture and comparing it to everything that I am doing.
Apparently, Jesus likes silk shirts. I never knew that.
That boy got soul glow.
Yeah.
Got the two buttons off. Jesus, Jesus,
that shirt wet as heck.
That's what Marcus Rogers said. He was like, you got. I know why you got that headband on is to keep that Jericho juice out your eyes.
Jesus looked like Randy Watson.
Randy Watson. All right, you can pull that down, John. I just wanted to show that because Moan said Jesus wasn't white, and it just brought me back to that video.
Wow.
But yeah, that was ridiculous. Listen, we got to catch a 6 a.m. flight, so we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. This was a good conversation, man. Yeah. We went in on the ManosFEAR. This is our first time really talking about it. You know,
I've never heard of it
with each other.
So
but What'd you say?
I never heard of it.
You never heard of it?
Not that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Stan's busy looking up guns.
1050.
Yeah, you would. I mean,
he did show us all his guns.
It's on our radar because this is something that me and James talk about all the time with like dating and stuff like that. So it kind of came up through the Kevin Samuels thing, and then started seeing all this stuff, but it's crazy. But you're not
missing nothing.
You're not missing nothing at all.
I'm glad I know about it.
Yeah. But
don't go down the rabbit hole, Stan.
Yeah, right.
What you saying, brother?
What's funny is like a lot of these dudes, and there's a white manosphere is more like dating coaches and stuff, but the black manosphere is its own thing, man.
Yeah,
it's like this, but most of them love white women though.
Yeah,
Most of them do not date black women, and they openly say this.
They do.
I know both Fresh and Fit say they don't date black women.
No, they don't.
It's just funny when you think about it.
It is.
But thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you for staying with us. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you know every time we go live. Speaking of white women, Xavier Grandison just popped in and said, "What's up, guys?" What's up, dude?
Well, he liked the Spanish.
Oh, he liked the Spanish?
Yeah.
What's up, Xavier? We were just talking about your hero, Kevin Samuels. Nah, I don't even know. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I don't know if you know anything about that. But thank you guys for watching. Notification bell on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. So patreon.com if you want to support. Don't forget you can become a member on there. Hit us up. And if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, if you have any content, any videos that you want us to react to, send them to us. You can email them to us at youngliontv1@gmail.com, or you can just send us a DM on Facebook or on Instagram, YoungLionTV on Instagram. And we will, we can always give commentary on stuff that people want us to talk about. We appreciate all of y'all, and we'll see you next week. All right.
All right.
Peace.
Young lion go live, yeah. Young lion, you rich, yeah. This king